Break down! Break down! Break down! All of us, all the time, take nothing for granted. All of you, give it. Oh, we do it all. We'll get this thing. Win on three. 1, 2, 3. Win! Let's go, baby!
The Riders have come east, making their first postseason appearance in nearly a half-decade. Danny Barrett's Green Machine is fueled by the run. No team does it better. Quarterback Nealon Green and a talented, shifty backfield carry the load. The bounce of Pinball's Argos has been restored, thanks in large part to the rebirth of quarterback Reggie Slack. Slotback Daryl Mitchell is a threat to score with every touch, and that's enough to give the Double Blue a somewhat less than quiet confidence.
Bring the green and white in!
Heavier rain outside of Sky Dome. Inside, little rain obviously. The dome is closed. We are set for the Eastern semifinal today between Saskatchewan and Toronto here at Sky Dome. Welcome to Field Level. Bruce Rainey for the CFL on CBC. What should be a great matchup today between two teams that finished the regular season with identical 8-10 records. Now they come on vastly different roles. However, Toronto has won 3 straight and Saskatchewan has lost 4 of their last 5. With more on this game and their thoughts on what is to transpire over the next couple of hours, let's go upstairs to Mark Lee and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Bruce. Good afternoon, everybody. The big question for Saskatchewan today, can they rekindle their vaunted ground game? They began the year in a tear, averaging 250 yards a game. It's down to 140, still number 1, though, in the CFL.
Yeah, it has been number 1 since week 2 of Canadian football, and it went number 1 all the way to the end, and it's the 4 horsemen from right to left. Cedric Shaw, the slashing power back. Corey Holmes with the speed to the outside. Nealon Green, the quarterback, who's basically a running back at that position, and Chris Zarka, the bull.
And on defense, this man, the ringleader, Eddie Davis, is back from injury to anchor the number 1 pass defense.
Missed 6 starts. He's got a broken forearm in his right hand. Will play with a cast. He's one of only 4 defenders with experience in the playoffs. They need him.
Eddie Davis and the secondary will have their eyes on Daryl Mitchell. He is the one bona fide game breaker the Argos have. He's got more passing yards than everybody else.
Well, the Argos went through 7 quarterbacks this season, and despite that, Daryl Mitchell still got his 1,000 yards. They got to get him the ball to have success.
And, of course, defense has been the backbone of this Argo team all year long.
Hey, we talked about the Saskatchewan running game. To stop it, you got to stop them down Main Street, and that's where Johnny Scott and Demetrius Maxey make their home.
Johnny Scott and Demetrius Maxey have their game faces on. How about your Canadian Tire game notes?
Well, when you look at the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Nealon Green's the key when he runs the football. In the first part of the season, he was successful. Around 80 yards a game he was running. After the hamstring in week 5, he dropped to 23. He's got to run to break down the defense. Defensively, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, if they take out Daryl Mitchell, who has 13 of the 19 passing touchdowns for the Argos, see if those other receivers can beat them.
How about the Argos?
Toronto Argonauts on offense, they've got to stretch that defense and go deep. Maybe it's not Daryl Mitchell if he's getting double covered. Maybe it's Demetrius Bendross. And on defense for the Argos, Corey Holmes for Saskatchewan, maybe the one player that can be the difference maker. They control him on offense and special teams. They've got a shot.
Game notes brought to you by Canadian Tire. Let's get started.
Well, the crowd is starting to get pumped here at Sky Dome, and so is this man, defensive end Joe Montford. Nealon Green's very mobile. How do you deal with him today?
I don't think we're necessarily concerned a lot with Nealon. Right now, we're concerned about what we're going to do. And a lot of people just think we're just happy to be in the playoffs. We're not happy to be in the playoffs. We're supposed to be here. And today we're going to prove it.
What was that mood like in the dressing room?
We're excited. You can see the glimmer in the eyes and just ready for the game to begin. We're not concerned with a lot of things right now. All we're concerned about getting the win.
Okay, good luck today.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mark and Glenn, Joe Montford.
And a loud and growing crowd assembling here at the Sky Dome in Toronto for this Eastern semifinal. Only the second time that Saskatchewan and Toronto have met in playoff competition. And on the Argo bench, there he is, the inspiration for this team, Pinball Clemens, in his first playoff game as a CFL head coach, as this team makes its first appearance back in the postseason in 3 years. His former teammate and good friend, Danny Barrett, making his first playoff appearance as a head coach. These guys have not played in the playoffs in 5 years. But no friendship on the sidelines today, Glenn. These men have not talked in the last week. Pinball saying to give his buddy Danny his mental edge. They'll stay off the phones as we take a look at this man, the quarterback, the starter for the Argos today, Reggie Slack, returning to the CFL after being out of football for 2.5 years. His career has been resurrected in Toronto, and he has resurrected the Argos. And for the green and white, Neilon Green has recovered, he says, from a hip point injury that restricted his mobility the past 3 weeks.
That certainly has, and Neilon Green wants to win the big game. He doesn't feel like a quarterback gets his due until you win in the playoffs, and that's what's on his mind right now to go to take on the Toronto Argonauts.
He told me yesterday names are made in the playoffs. Witness Marcus Crandall 1 year ago, an 8-10 team. He took flack all year long and made his name with a Grey Cup victory 1 year ago for Calgary. As Noel Prefontaine, the hero, last week with that 42-yard field goal in the dying seconds, kicks it off, and we're underway in Toronto. Corey Holmes, the leading punt returner in the CFL, 1,000 yards in the kick return department, has it, and he's stacked up at the 35-yard line for decent field position to start this first opening drive for Saskatchewan as Neilon Green huddles up with his coach Danny Barrett. Barrett holds the game plan. Neilon Green executes what the coach wants done out there.
Completed about 57% of his passes through the regular season, was on and off the roster due to that hip pointer injury, but maybe as important as his arm throwing the football are his legs running with the football, and he's got to run with confidence here this afternoon to try and break down that Argo defense.
That's the question. Will he be running between the tackles this afternoon? Is that hip pointer fully recovered as he says he is? First play on the ground, and Cedric Shaw is stood up by Roger Dunbrack, then breaks the tackle and crashes down for a gain of about 5 on the play.
Well, Saskatchewan, known for their running game throughout the season, led by Zarka, who's the blocking back, gets the ball about 9-10 times a game, and Cedric Shaw was 50 yards short of 1,000 on the year.
There's the receiving core, Derek Armstrong, a Western All-Star this year, going over 1,000 yards in receiving.
That offensive line, Jeremy O'Day played in Toronto in '97 when Reggie Slack led the Saskatchewan Roughriders to the Grey Cup.
2nd and 5. They'll stay on the ground. Big Chris Zarka bulldozing his way for a short gain, but they'll be shy of the first down as Johnny Scott comes up big.
You know that this defensive front four for the Toronto Argonauts are pumped up for this one. Everyone talking about the Saskatchewan running game, and that's where Maxey and Scott come in. Joe Mumford leads the team in tackles.
And of course, the linebacking core, Reggie Gibbons. He can stop you through the air and on the ground. Great mobility, as has Martavius Houston.
And there is the secondary, led by Alonzo Steinauer, tied for first in the league in tackles.
Levingston and Matt Cody back to return this punt. It's Matt Cody back from the NFL at his own 29-yard line. A stutter step, he'll go wide, looking for a seam. And George White will make the tackle at the 30. Matt Cody, who led the NFC in kick returns 2 years ago with Arizona, back in the CFL for the first time in 3 years. As Reggie Slack makes his way onto the field, he was the offensive player of the week last week, passing for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns in that dramatic second half comeback against Calgary.
Yeah, he's come back as a much more mature quarterback than he was when he played a couple of years back. And when all the coaches for the Argos start to talk about Reggie Slack, they say leadership.
Argos begin with a bunch backfield, then flank 3 receivers right. It's a pitch out to Robert Drummond. He's got nowhere to go and is immediately hit for a loss on the play. Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, Sheldon Napastuk with a big play to stop the Argos on first down as we take a look at their offensive line.
Robert Drummond joined the team after a few weeks. There's the receiving core. Daryl Mitchell the key for them, 13 touchdowns of the 19 through the air for the Argos.
The offensive line, Jude St. John is back in the lineup after a near-fatal car accident 1 week ago. He suffered head injuries and an elbow injury, but he's been given the green light by doctors to go. Here's Slack in the air looking for Daryl Mitchell. Mitchell has it. It's complete as he goes out of bounds in front of Ladoufius McCalla, but just shy of the first down.
Mike, you see what they do, the Argos. We talk about the importance of Daryl Mitchell, and what they do is they leave him one-on-one on the backside. All the other receivers for Toronto are playing to the left side of the formation. Mitchell is one-on-one on Ladoufius McCalla. He turns the out and hangs on to that football.
So it will be 3rd down and a yard to go for the Argos, and a punting situation as Prefontaine comes into the football game. And he told me before this game he's going to try to angle the ball away from Corey Holmes, the top punt returner in the CFL and the lone man back for Saskatchewan right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea too, because Corey Holmes, with over 1,000 yards and returns this season, can beat you in one play.
Prefontaine at his own 25. A wobbly punt that bounces at the 40. Holmes on the sidelines and nowhere to go on a well-positioned punt by Prefontaine. And so the Argo punt cover works to perfection. Saskatchewan on offense when we come back to the Skydome in Toronto. Welcome back to the Eastern semifinal in Toronto. Early first quarter action. And one of the big questions for this Saskatchewan running game is the offensive line, Glenn. It's been a jigsaw puzzle all year because of injury.
They've been banged up, but Donald Heaven comes back in at that tackle, number 52, moves Sean Gifford over. They hope that will solidify the O-line.
Green starting this series in the shotgun. He'll hand off to Chris Zarka, and Zarka is hit immediately as he crosses the 35-yard line.
You know, Mark, with that offensive line in the first 9 games of the season, they have given up just 14 sacks. Marcel Belfay, the offensive line coach, felt that he had the best offensive line in Canadian football. Then they went through the injury problems, and in the last 9 games, boy, they've given up 38 of their league worst 52 sacks. You can see what it's done to the running game as well.
Yes, without an intermediate passing game, the defense will pin its ears back. 2nd down and 8. Hitch pass. Corey Holmes tries to escape the tackle of one Argo and finally leaks out of bounds. Joe Montfort pressures him out of bounds at the 1st down marker.
Tim Kears, the receiver coach for Saskatchewan, told me just before the game, of course we weren't allowed to say this until the game began, but he said Corey Holmes is going to be the key this afternoon. We are going to try to get the football in his hands as many times and as many different ways as we can. We feel he will be the difference today.
It's like a long handoff, that play there, as Saskatchewan gets a 1st down, moving the ball across the 46-yard line. The Saskatchewan team had only 69 yards rushing 1 week ago against BC. Again, another hitch pass, this time to the leading receiver, Derek Armstrong. He scoots across center field, and Mike O'Shea tracks him down from behind. Very close to a 1st down. The gain will be about 9 on the play.
Well, right now, Nealon Green throwing with confidence, and he's using the quick game. You can see the protection up front right here, this offensive line. 4-man rush, they all have their man and their man in control, and because of that, Green has a lot of time to throw that hitch pass, get the ball out of his hands and into the hands of the weapons.
It looks like Green is trying to spread that Argo defense. You see the lanes there were very wide on that. You see how he spread the defense. Now he decides to take the ball and run. He's got lots of room.
And when Nealon Green runs, he's most effective when he's running between the tackles, and that's when he can really hurt the defense for the Argos. If they continue to spread out that offensive line, and we'll watch it throughout the afternoon, that also will spread out the defensive linemen, opening up those running lanes between the tackles. If Nealon Green can take off, go downhill, he can get up on you and get some yardage in a hurry.
So they'll be just shy of the 1st down. 2nd and less than a yard for Saskatchewan across midfield as this ball control offense runs the clock. Sneak, and it will be a 1st down by the quarterback, Nealon Green, as Michael O'Shea went diving right past him.
You know, it just creates the great matchup, though, when we've talked a lot about this running game for Saskatchewan. Then you go to the Argos side of the ball. Really, their strength is in that front 4 and maybe even the front 7 with Michael O'Shea, Martavius Houston back behind there, and Reggie Given. So you got Danny Barrett, strength against strength.
1st down on the quarterback sneak. Saskatchewan. Double tight end offense now as they show run. Shaw takes the handoff, breaks a tackle, and has lots of room, and a big 1st down to the 35-yard line of the Argos. A 17-yard gain as Orlando Steinauer makes the tackle for Toronto.
You talked about those lanes and the offensive linemen trying to open up the lanes in the middle. Cedric Shaw now takes advantage of a big lane to the right side of that formation.
Cedric Shaw, who was out of football for 2 years with a knee injury. Back here in the CFL and a presence on that play. They'll stay on the ground. Shaw decides to bend outside around the corner looking for the first down. Adrian Smith wards him out of bounds. He'll be close to another first down.
The way that the Argos will have to stop to try and control this running game is to try and get penetration, get off the ball with that defensive line. Demetrius Maxey, Johnny Scott, Joe Mumford, and Roger Dunbrook. Last week in the game versus Calgary to get into the playoffs, those four had a slow start. They didn't get off the ball early in the game, and it cost them early. Calgary had the lead. They came out in the second half, fired up, and made a difference, but they've got to do it earlier in this one.
Well, it's a team that uses the run to set up the pass, and when the run's taken away, they've been in predicaments. As you mentioned, that 28-3 loss that they suffered last week, and Danny Barrett said, we didn't even look at the films of that game. It was so bad.
Yeah, and Barrett said, you know, with regards to his running game, he said, you know, maybe sometimes I have to be more patient with it as well and not abandon the run too quickly because it has been our bread and butter all year.
So it will be a second down situation and inches to go again on this drive that began at the Saskatchewan 35-yard line. Double tights again for the Riders. Green pushing. He was hit hard by Joe Montfort, who came across the top, but it looks like he might have it. Joe Montfort, who had 72 tackles during the regular season, a high for him, and really came on in terms of sacks in the second half of the season.
Well, yeah, he's had 4 sacks last 4 games. He's allowed to be free off the edge, and in that one-on-one situation that he's made a career out of all his days in Hamilton, over 20 sacks for so many years, and Joe Mumford now gets that one-on-one with Mike Clemens as the head coach.
You see in that last battle, though, Nealon Green and his powerful legs winning the battle with Big Joe Montfort. First down, Green pumping, looking to the end zone, deep for Armstrong. He's got it! No, he dropped it! Oh, that was close! Bashir Livingston with a touchdown-saving play for the Argos.
He really did, and he stuck with it. He was deep back there in that secondary, and Livingston was beat on the play. The ball is up, and a nice throw from Nealon Green up over the top to just lead Derek Armstrong. He wins the jump ball, but you see how Livingston kept battling. He never quit, and he pulled the ball out. Nealon Green thought he had one.
Oh, the ball was in the hands and complete, and at the last second, Livingston, the rookie, bats it free. So it's a 5-receiver set now on 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan, as the crowd wades in on this game. Green going to the end zone again, looking for Rocky Henry. Close coverage with Adrian Smith, and it's incomplete.
Adrian Smith ran Henry out of real estate in his hip pocket, and he ran him out of real estate. Watch how Adrian Smith plays this one to perfection. He's got his eyes on the quarterback. He's got his eyes on the football. He knows where the receiver is, and he just runs Rocky Henry right out of the field.
And so the touchdown that Nealon Green thought he'd thrown, no good, and it will be a field goal situation for Paul McCallum from the 32-yard line. He hits it hard, and it's straight and good. And so McCallum with his first field goal of the game, and Saskatchewan on the scoreboard first, 3-0 here in Toronto.
It is 3-0 Saskatchewan here at Skydome. A reminder, 4 o'clock Eastern today, BC at Winnipeg, the West Division semifinal. Chris Cuthbert with the call. Chris will be there as well, and Brenda Irving. That is 4 o'clock Eastern after our game. Back to Mark and Glenn.
Yes, Bruce, and 2 nasty defenses in the West set to clash in below zero weather on the prairies. That should be a dandy. As the Argo fans and some Saskatchewan folks who've made the trip whip up what should be a big crowd today for the Argos in this Eastern final. Matt Cody, the lone man back for the Argos, along with Livingston to his right. Cody will get this one at his own 13-yard line. Cody in his second game with the Argos with a short return on the play. He showed up for a tryout a week ago in the Argo camp just as Jimmy Cunningham got hurt, and he's been pressed into service.
They could use his speed on the return game.
Reggie Slack playing this football game with a broken thumb on his passing hand, and he has been able to maintain his grip, and last week evidence of that.
Thumb feels fine. Obviously it's still broken, but you know, it doesn't affect the way I play the game. It doesn't affect my throwing. You know, obviously when I first did it, there was some pain involved, and it took a little time for it to settle down and to get to a level of comfort where I was able to go out and still play the game.
Reggie Slack with a completion and a nice tight spiral to Andre Talbot, but he paid a price.
Adolphus McCalla really lowered the boom on Talbot as he caught that one, but that was over a 40-yard throw from Reggie Slack. So it looks like the thumb's okay.
And he's wearing gloves, even though we're indoors, because of the tacky surface on the palms. It does help with the grip, which he says is a little bit weaker, playing with a broken thumb. Slack passing again, looking patiently, rolling now out of the pocket, pressure, and he'll throw it away. It's intercepted, but out of bounds, and there's a late hit on the play against, it looks like, Ray Jacobs of Saskatchewan.
Nate Davis and Ray Jacobs pushed Reggie Slack into the signage down on the sideline. But this is why Reggie Slack is starting this game and not Jim Ballard, because of the decisions he made. He went out there, he had a chance to try and force that ball into Robert Drummond, decided not to, threw it away, and there's the late push from Ray Jacobs, and Nate Davis was right beside him. That'll keep the sticks moving for the Argos.
Pinball loves the leadership, loves the fact that he's going to take care of the ball. He's not going to throw it into harm's way. He had just one pick last week in that win over Calgary, and comes into this game with only 3 interceptions thrown this year. So after the late hit, they'll move the ball to the 50-yard line. Mike Morreale into the game now at receiver for the Argos. It's Drummond on the option handoff from the shotgun, and he'll rumble for about 5 yards to center field.
Well, the other thing that Reggie Slack brings to the table for the Argos is his ability to run the option. Remember, when these two teams played here in the regular season in Toronto, Reggie Slack running the option with Drummond, he'd either give it to him like he did on that last play, or he'd fake it and then take it to the outside. Running that option actually beats Saskatchewan. They haven't run it yet this game this afternoon, but it's one of the things that Reggie brings.
It's a wrinkle that also forces Saskatchewan to prepare for it in their week leading up to this. So one more thing they've got to take care of. Slack, though, in the shotgun downfield. Bendros is open, and he can't reach the ball. Wide open down the sideline.
And you don't get too many opportunities at this play because it was the fake hitch. They were going to fake the hitch out there to Ted Alford and then go to Demetrius Bendros down the sideline. Here comes the pump fake. This is the hitch to Alford. Right after that, he's going down the field to Demetrius Bendros. It fools the defense. You don't get many chances to get in behind him like that. And it's just a little too far for Bendros.
Yes, in behind the veteran, Eddie Davis, with nothing but end zone in front of him. The pass a little too far. Prefontaine to punt, averaging 46.1 yards this year. And again, he'll angle it to the near sideline. It's over the head of Corey Holmes. It stops at the goal line. What a bounce! An Argo bounce! But Brad Elborg inside the 5 yards, and so it'll be no yards on the play against the Argos. So Noel Prefontaine with a beautiful punt. A 53-yarder, no return. Back at the Skydome, number 1, Noel Prefontaine has limited the number 1 punt returner, Corey Holmes, to 1 yard in 2 punt returns.
Well,
so
now he's got Mark Drawweight on his punts. Look at it, he just pulls that ball back. I mean, he made the 42-yarder to get the Argos in the playoffs a week ago. And, you know, his opposition, Paul McCallum, today said, I think Noel Prefontaine is the all-star punter this year and the all-star field goal kicker, and Paul McCallum's had a good season. For him to say that, pretty high praise.
And not a bad penalty by Brad Elberg. It's only 5 yards on the no yards to hold them down. Holmes now outside, breaks a tackle, and it's Michael O'Shea to bring him down, but not until he runs for 15 yards and a first down, Saskatchewan.
Now this running game for Saskatchewan really starting to take form again, and some of that early season form. Corey Holmes just to his left. Look at the hole opened up. Donald Heaven takes his man. That's Leroy Blue. Ties him all up. That's the man at the point of attack. So Corey Holmes doesn't have anybody till he gets into that linebacking core.
So their special teams ace figuring more prominently in the offense early in this first quarter. Pitch out to Holmes. He's hit, bounces off the tackle, and he'll have a few on the play. Clifford Ivory sealing from the outside, turning him in.
Didn't seem like that play had the proper timing from Nealon Green. It looked like just the option play where Green's going to go down the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't really option anybody. He pitches that out in a hurry, so Joe Momford doesn't have to make a commitment. He's over there along with Clifford Ivory, and the play really doesn't have much of a chance.
So the gain is 4 by Corey Holmes. 2nd and 6. Reggie Gibbons in as a pass defender. Johnny Scott out. The ball is complete to Rocky Henry. Puts his head down. He'll have the first down, and then his Bulldog back across the first down marker.
Good recognition, Mark, from Nealon Green to recognize where the Argos wanted to send some pressure. They have Michael Fletcher, who's basically the safety on the outside. He's going to come from this side of the formation, and that's exactly where Green is going to throw the football. If Fletcher's coming, then you know one thing, he's not back there in coverage in the drop. That's where you throw it, and that's where they get the first down.
Fletcher, who doubles as a run-stopping linebacker in this defense for the Argos. But it's a first down, Saskatchewan, as the second last rated passing offense in the CFL goes to the air. No chance there. Bonner blitzing, and Nealon Green just threw it away, and there's a flag behind the play. It may well be grounding.
Well, I think what they'll do is discuss it to make sure it was grounding. If the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage and there's no receiver in the area, it's intentional grounding. Chris Zarka was about 3 yards from where the football bounced. So Nealon Green will go and discuss that and say, listen, I had a receiver close enough. But they throw the flag first, then discuss, and then they can pick it up and say no call.
There's no infraction on the play. Number 33 was in the vicinity. Incomplete pass, second down.
Bang on, sir, as referee Ken Lazarick waves off the flag on the play. Pinball Clements admitting the other day that he's a pretty intense football player for a playoff game or any regular season game. We asked him about what he's like before a game as a coach. He said, I like to smile a lot and pretend I'm not nervous.
But deep down, it's churning.
Well, the ground game heavily favoring Saskatchewan, and again, they're taking lots of time off the clock. Here's Green. He'll run for the first time this afternoon. Clothesline as he goes across the 50-yard line.
And there's what we're talking about. Nealon Green, rather than trying to get right outside and run to the sideline, he'll get pulled up and then stop and come right down between the tackle and the guard. Now he's coming downhill. He's picking up yardage quicker than he would be going laterally. Now, he doesn't have enough for the first down, but that can start to break down that Argo defense.
You know, Danny Barrett was saying he had most of those 548 yards in the first half of the season. Had it been for the hamstring and the hip pointer, who knows what he would have racked up.
Well, the hamstring came in week 5, and prior to that, he was up around 80 yards per game rushing. After that, it dropped to 23.
McCallum set to punt from his 40. Gets it away. A nice high punt to Matt Cody at his 20. Cody is caught, turns back, looking for some blocks, and he'll have a couple on the return. A 38-yard punt by Paul McCallum and a 2-yard return, and there's some pushing and shoving after the whistle.
You know, it's not a surprise that it's close and it's a low-scoring game early in this one, because I think in a game of this magnitude, when you get into the playoffs, coaches don't have to make the pregame speech. The intensity is there. The defense's advantage is that intensity.
Reggie Slack back on offense as we join Bruce.
Well, tonight, Mark, on CBC, an infamous Spanish nobleman keeps Tom Stone busy, while a man who survived 2 house fires has Dominic looking for answers on Da Vinci's inquest. That is tonight on CBC television. Mark.
Thank you, Bruce. It's 1st and 10. Argos starting this drive at their own 22 with 1 yard rushing to show so far in this football game. Hand off to Robert Drummond on that shotgun option. And again, it's tough going through the middle of that defense.
But did you see what Reggie Slack did after he gave Drummond the ball? First of all, it was a delayed handoff. He held the ball in Drummond's stomach for a split second and then continued to the outside. Watch him hold for a 1 count. Take a look at what the defense does and then continue outside. What he's looking at are the defensive ends. Ray Jacobs. If Ray Jacobs goes hard to Drummond, next time he'll pull it out of there.
So Slack setting up perhaps the bootleg. It's 2nd and 8. Empty backfield, pressure now. Slack stepping up into the pocket. He'll roll. It's complete to Mike Morreale, but short of the first down as he's tackled by Davin Bush at the Argo 30.
Different formation for the Saskatchewan defense. They moved Shante Peoples around and Ray Jacobs and put them in a position where they're almost looking like they're linebackers and then come on the stunt.
Mike Morreale.
Shante Peoples limping off the field afterwards. There's Ray Jacobs lying in the middle of the formation. He's usually at the end position. Travis Smith providing some pressure.
Reggie Slack at 6'3", 220. He's a big man at quarterback, able to break tackles, especially arm tackles. Shante Peoples, that's got to be a concern as he limps off to the Saskatchewan sideline. Prefontaine dumping this one. It gets a bounce to McCalla, back with Holmes. McCalla gets a block, can't get much more though, and is forced out of bounds at the 50-yard line by Martavius Houston and Michael O'Shea. A 42-yard punt and an 11-yard return.
You see early in this game what Danny Barrett has been able to accomplish with a bit of a running game. Not a lot of points on the board, but the field position advantage early went to the Argos when Noel Prefontaine put that one out about the 5-yard line. Now Saskatchewan has got that field position back. They're starting at their own 50, 51-yard line. So with a bit of a running game, Saskatchewan reestablishing that field position advantage.
Barrett has nurtured 3 young quarterbacks this season, going with his incumbent number 1, Elon Green, this afternoon. Pitch out, Cedric Shaw, right side, outside the tackles, and a gain of 6 on first down on the final play of the first quarter as Saskatchewan has monopolized the ball. Had a chance for a touchdown, snatched away by Livingston. 1 quarter, 3-0 Saskatchewan. Well, just as you thought, the 4 horsemen are having their way so far in the first quarter of this football game, with Saskatchewan a huge 71-yard to 3-yard rushing advantage over Toronto.
Corey Holmes, Chris Zarka, the Bull in the middle. He's been the lead blocker so far. The running back at quarterback. And then Cedric Shaw, who's really been the starting tailback, and he's been the key. And when you look at the first quarter stats, you're going to see the advantage in the running game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 71 yards to 3 for the Argos. So far, that's been the difference. Not a lot of points on the board, but they have the field position advantage because of it.
And the Argos' only first down was by penalty. So the Toronto offense, as usual, slow getting started here in this Eastern semifinal. Saskatchewan across midfield. 2nd down and 4 on the Argo 53-yard line. It's a 5-receiver set for Saskatchewan. Shotgun formation. Green firing. Holmes hit hard. He had it, then dropped it. They'll wave it off as incomplete as Adrian Smith came with a wallop.
Adrian Smith was playing zone defense. In the zone defense, that's where you want the quarterback to throw the football. Now for Nealon Green, on the other hand, he's got to get the ball out of there quicker to give Holmes a chance to turn around with it. He caught that football right as he was being hit by Adrian Smith. Pretty good timing from the corner.
So Adrian Smith, the 9-year veteran and an Eastern All-Star again this year, with a big play to knock what was going to be a completed pass loose. And Saskatchewan will punt. McCallum just gets it away. Clifford Ivory diving. Matt Cody at his own 13. Good punt cover by Saskatchewan. As George White and Terrence Melton were in to smother that return, holding it to just 6 yards on a 41-yard boot.
Football is always a game of real estate and whether or not you can get that field position advantage. Clifford Ivory coming from the right side of your screen. He is so close. He blocks that one, and the Argos have that field position advantage right back. As it turns out, it just gets out of there And now Saskatchewan with a 2-0 get a chance to even pick up some more field position.
And it looked like McCallum was angling that punt right as it was. So right into the face of that block. That was close. Poor field position for the Argos, starting this drive at their own 17. Slack with lots of time. Now he'll roll right. Here's some pressure. Throwing off his back foot. Morreale. Oh, he dropped it. Mike Morreale going high, but can't hold on.
You know, Mike Morreale as a receiver probably did the right thing. I mean, he went back towards the football. He felt that he wanted to win that race. The ball was hanging up there a little bit. Reggie Slack didn't like what he saw on the play side, so he went back to the opposite side of the formation. Now, Morreale came back to the ball. When he did so, I think he got too close. If he stays closer to the sideline, he probably makes that catch.
So it's 2nd and 10. Argos. Pressure up the middle. Dumps it off. Daryl Mitchell with speed. Oh, and he's hit hard. Right at the first down marker. Adolphus McCalla rocking as the defensive backs make their presence felt here today.
Wow. They are throwing those pads around right now. Adolphus McCalla this time sitting back on the opposite side of the formation. This is Daryl Mitchell's play. He does this one 4 or 5 times a game. But look at McCalla, who's not a big guy.
No.
5'8", 183 pounds, and that's his second big hit of the game.
The gain is 12 yards, though. And Shawnee Peoples is down again as McCalla revels in the glory of that hit. We saw him limping off from the last series. The rush in for Saskatchewan.
The one thing that is guaranteed in a playoff game is that the intensity is there. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you don't have to, as a head coach, give much of a pregame speech in the playoffs. And they're looking at right now Shante Peoples' right knee, checking out its stability. But you can see the way the defensive backs have been hitting in this game so far, that the intensity is certainly there.
We'll check on Shante Peoples when we come back to Toronto. Shante Peoples up and walking under his own steam with trainer Ivan Gutfriend. I'm not sure if he took a hit on that last play, Glenn.
Well, he's at the bottom left of your screen right there. Shante Peoples, number 58. He comes on the pass rush, then he's going to plant. He knows what's happening, so he drops out of there. And I think when he made that plant turn is when he tweaked that knee.
Well, it would be a big loss for this defense if Shante Peoples can't go. He led the team this year with 10 pass knockdowns.
He didn't have a lot of the sacks, but he did contribute in a big way. A lot of forced fumbles. He in the backfield a bunch, providing what's called pressures, a stat that the teams keep, not necessarily kept in the league.
So Terrence Melton moves up to the defensive end position from linebacker for Saskatchewan. First down, Argos. Slack standing in the pocket, pressure. He breaks another tackle. Slack gets it away. Morreale diving for it. He's got it and rolls close to the first down marker.
There's a veteran in Mike Morreale, the second time. First one he didn't catch it over on the sideline. This one he does. He's just trying to find the open area when Reggie Slack is scrambling. And Slack's big, strong quarterback is tough to bring down. Morreale hangs on, and they'll have to measure this.
Oh, tremendous poise by Reggie Slack to again stay patient and then break a tackle. They'll be just inches short on the diving catch by Mike Morreale, the 8-year veteran who won a cup with his team back in the mid-90s.
Yeah, and he's pumped up, though. He's pumped up because he's from McMaster, right? McMaster on their way to the Churchill Bowl versus St. Mary's. Congratulations to them. Of course, U of S will play McGill in the Mitchell Bowl, so he's pumped up for a couple reasons. His old team is on their way to the Vanier, which is November 23rd here in the Sky Dome, so he makes a nice catch there.
Second and inches. The Argos being risky, going deep to Ben Ross. Knocked down. Double coverage there, and Eddie Davis sniffed that one out.
You know, there's only 4 defensive starters for the Saskatchewan Roughriders that have playoff experience. Eddie Davis is one of them. He missed 6 starts due to injury, but his experience is so valuable to this secondary. Have a guy that you can look to in the huddle. He's not fooled. I like the call by the Argos to go deep. Didn't fool Eddie Davis, but you got to do it anyway.
All right, let's check on Shante Peoples quickly. Here's Bruce.
Well, Mark, bottom line is he's okay. The team doctor told me he took a direct shot to the front of his kneecap. He thought there might be ligament damage at first, but it's just a bit of pain. It is subsiding, and he's going to head back into the game ASAP.
Good news for the Rider defense as Reggie Slack gets the first down.
Looked like he fumbled that ball, but the whistle had blown. Reggie Hunt came up with what he thought was a fumble. Take a look from the top. Slack will come in this side. And when did he get rid of that football? The ball comes out of there right about there. The officials were marking the spot, and that whistle had blown.
Reggie Hunt, who led Saskatchewan with 3 fumble recoveries. He's always in the neighborhood. Again, that option handoff Drummond, but he was wrapped up almost as soon as he got the ball.
I think both right now, Saskatchewan's offensive and defensive line have the advantage. They are at this point winning the war in the trenches. We saw the running yards from Danny Barrett's offense. And now the defense on first down starting to set a tone. You see Shante Peoples and Nate Davis in the middle. They're starting to pick it up and control that line of scrimmage.
Peoples back in the game. Here's Slack waiting. Downfield. It's intercepted. McCalla has the ball for Saskatchewan. Reggie Slack with an uncharacteristic pass into coverage and a turnover for Saskatchewan.
Ladavius McCalla has put together a game today. A couple big hits and now the interception.
His first of the season comes in his first playoff game for the Roughriders. Saskatchewan on offense and threatening when we come back. The #1 pass defense with a huge interception.
Pass coverage comes in stages. You got to stay in your back pedal. McCalla does that. He reads the quarterback. He does that. And then the third stage is to beat the receiver to the football. And he certainly does that as McCalla steps around Andre Talbot for the interception.
Looked like Talbot stumbled for a moment there. So McCalla with his first pick of the year. And the Ballhawks making their presence felt against the last-ranked passing offense of Toronto. Double tight end formation. First down. Green, deep handoff to Cedric Shaw. Shaw twisting and turning, and Antonius Bonner comes up to make the tackle after a gain of 7.
Well, the interception at least sets up, at the very least, for Saskatchewan field goal position because they're in McCalla's range right now. That's, again, Saskatchewan establishing the running game. This is a defense in Saskatchewan that sort of prides itself on consistency rather than the big play, and they've got a couple of big plays from McCalla already.
Second down and 3. Handoff, Shaw breaks a tackle, twisting again. Shifty footwork for a first down, Saskatchewan.
Was it ever? Was it ever? Now that's a move that you can't coach, you can't draw it up, you just have to rely on the talent of your running back. Cedric Shaw is caught in the backfield by Demetrius Maxey. He's taking the football as he makes the move to the right, makes the first guy miss, and they'll be close enough to measure it.
Well, there were those who pronounced his career over after double knee surgery. He missed 2 years, cleared his head. He comes back, and he doesn't play with a brace. That's how confident he is. And he's been looking sharp here in the first half. Look at him, motivating this offense. He's a quiet, almost brooding type away from the field, but on the field he seems to ignite.
See the intensity in that Saskatchewan huddle right now. They've got to take some advantage with points now of the field position they've had in this first half.
First down from Shaw. Riders threatening as Nealon Green audibles at the line of scrimmage. He'll stay on the ground. It's Shaw trying to get outside, but the Argos swarm him for a loss on the play. Demetrius Maxey on the tackle.
We talked about the keys, the game notes for the Toronto Argonauts were those 2 inside guys, Johnny Scott and Demetrius Maxey. So Maxey gets beat on the last one, comes back and makes up for it on this play. But he uses Johnny Scott to help him. 72 right there in the middle. He gets the pressure up the middle. That forces Cedric Shaw to the outside, and that's where his partner, Demetrius Maxey, is sitting.
It's a loss of 2 on the play. 2nd and 12, Saskatchewan.
You have to be solid down Main Street of your defense.
The big men draw a line on the Argo defense. Passing, pitch pass, complete to Holmes, breaks a tackle, and then Montfort tracks him down from behind at the line of scrimmage.
Now there's some quickness from Joe Montfort. Corey Holmes is the game breaker for the Riders. He's got the speed. Over a 7-yard average this year from the backfield. And he's in a foot race to the corner, trying to outrun Joe Mumford to the corner after that move on Michael Fletcher. Now he's got to get outside, and Mumford doesn't let him do it.
So Joe Mumford, who has rekindled his football season since the return of the pinball as head coach, freed him up on defense in a field goal attempt for Paul McCallum from the 45-yard line. Hits the goalpost.
Oh, boy.
No good. And so a promising drive ends with nothing to show for it. McCallum hits the goalpost from 45 yards out with 8:12 to go in the second quarter.
8:12 to go in the first half. Roughriders lead the Argos 3-0. A reminder, you can help Chris Walby select the Ultimate Warrior, the top dog on his 5th annual Walby Warriors team, by logging on to cbc.ca/sports and look for the CFL on CBC's site. Mark.
Pitch pass. Ed Alford hangs on, but that was dangerous inside your own 20.
Well, one of the Warriors for Chris Walby could be Ladolphus McCallum so far in this first half, and this secondary is making a statement for Saskatchewan. Richie Hall prides himself on this secondary. 2 years ago, this secondary gave up over 40 touchdown passes. They kept them together and they kept the faith in them, and this year they gave up less than 20.
Small secondary ranging in weight from 160 pounds to 183, built on speed, and it has come of age this year, leading the CFL against the pass. Slack with time. Now he's pressured, and Shante Peoples back from injury, and a big sack.
Eddie Davis, Mark, and Omar Morgan put a blanket on Demetrius Bendros and Ted Alford. And because of that, and because of the coverage, Reggie Slack had nowhere to throw the football. Shante Peoples still laboring on that leg. Here's Reggie Slack. He looks to his left. He wants Bendros or Alford. And guess what? No one is open. And on the opposite side, you know one thing, Daryl Mitchell's going to get some double coverage, and he does. There's Reggie Hunt on the inside. He's a linebacker. He takes the inside in the short patterns. Defensive back takes the deep stuff.
So Prefontaine standing at his own 3-yard line. Holmes and McCallum back for Saskatchewan, and he puts the boot to that football. Holmes at his own 43, outside. There's a corridor there, breaks some tackles and more, and finally run down at the Argo 42-yard line. A 49-yard punt, but a 25-yard return. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders go on offense when we come back. Nealon Green says he came here today to make a name for himself in the playoffs, nursing a 3-0 lead. This game is looking a lot like the first encounter here in Toronto during the regular season. It was 3-0 after 1 quarter and 6-1 Saskatchewan at halftime.
And the concern for Green and Danny Beard right now is with the field position they've had, not putting any points on the board.
The last time they did that, they lost the football game. Here's Green, play action, time, throwing deep down the far sideline. Derek Armstrong, touchdown! What a bomb! 42 yards as Armstrong wins this battle with Bashir Livingston.
Derek Armstrong did not slow down for a minute. He trusted his speed from the start of the play to the end of the play, and Nealon Green put that one way out in front of him. This ball is dropped right in the bucket for Nealon Green. He's going to put this way out in front of Derek Armstrong. Armstrong has confidence in his speed. He keeps that stride going, and see what he does this time? He wraps up the football.
Right, the last time he left it unprotected, it was swatted away by Livingston on that opening drive and what looked like a sure touchdown. The point after is good. And so the Roughriders under the strong arm of Nealon Green, who's all fired up.
All my peoples in YO, Yonkers, it's about to get serious, man. It's about to get serious.
It's a 10-0 lead as Pinball finds himself in a similar predicament as he was 1 week ago with a team that was lifeless in the first half.
Well, you know, the offense is the key for the Argos right now. They've got to find an answer for this touchdown. This time, Derek Armstrong wraps up the football so that Livingston can't pull it out of there. But what a throw from Green to lead his receiver and let Derek Armstrong use his speed.
You know, Bashir Livingston had a bit of a bad habit earlier this year of letting receivers get behind him because he said he wanted to bait the quarterback to come his way.
You better not let Derek Armstrong behind you because you'll never catch up. You will not catch up. You let Derek Armstrong in behind you.
Armstrong with 1,104 yards to crack the 1,000-yard mark in his sophomore season in Saskatchewan. And Pinball Clemens, who was uncharacteristically animated in the locker room at halftime 1 year ago, is subdued on the Argo bench.
Well, and he gave the big halftime speech a week ago when the Argos were down 29-10 at halftime versus Calgary, trying to fight for their playoff lives. He may need another one here this afternoon.
Matt Cody up to speed, then runs right into coverage. A 68-yard kick and a 14-yard return for the second weak player for the Argos. Here's Bruce.
Thank you, Mark. 6:06 left in the first half on the halftime show, the Western semifinal preview with Brian Williams, Eric Tillman, and Danny McManus, and pro tips with Chris Walby. That is all to come at halftime.
6:05 and counting until the half as Slack tries to light a fire in this offense.
At halftime last week, Mike Clements challenged his players. He asked them if they were capable of coming back. He's going to go do that with his offense halftime here this afternoon.
Slack has completed 6 of 10 so far for 45 yards. He's got time. Morielli breaks coverage and makes the catch with Travis Smith all over him.
That's great concentration from Mike Morielli. He was open initially. Reggie Slack hung on to the football. He got in behind Travis Smith, who tried to jam him, and even after the jam, Morielli still hangs on to the ball.
Mike Pinball Clemens says Mike Morielli has a position in this offense because he's a veteran. He's as consistent as the day is long, even though the Cats left him on the scrap heap after last season.
Was moved around through the regular season from a wide receiver, tight end, and then back into his more comfortable slot back position. And that's where he's had the most success.
Big first down for the Argos. 4 receivers to the right side. Slack back to the left side. There's pressure. Breaks the tackle now. Pressure from Melton. Gets it away. Oh, and Talbot is rocked. Andre Talbot waiting for that slow pass to arrive. And he's creamed by Omar Morgan.
This secondary in Saskatchewan, I'll tell you one thing, as a receiver for the Argos, they're making you pay for it, and they're making you earn every catch. Because even if you don't catch it, whether you catch it or not, Saskatchewan secondary is hitting you. This time it's Omar Morgan's turn, comes all the way across the field. Talbot's kind of hanging there, waiting for that one to come down and ear hole. Richie Hall wants consistency out of his secondary. He's on the right of your screen right here. He's getting it right now from that secondary in Saskatchewan.
Argos with a changeup on offense now, going to no huddle in the final 5 minutes of this first half. Slack rolling the pocket. There's pressure again. The pass to right behind him. Here comes Melton, and Slack will just throw it away. And so this hungry Saskatchewan defense is giving the veteran Slack fits.
One thing that Mike Clements in his halftime speech will probably go over to the offensive line, that group right there, and you say, guys, that's basic pass rush there. We've got to seal that better. Reggie Slack has not had a lot of time to settle down in the pocket.
Robert Drummond again beat on the block there from behind as Napasta came rolling in along with Nate Davis and Melton. And so it's a punting situation. Prefontaine at his own 38-yard line. Hammers this high punt deep to Holmes, trying to pin him on the sideline again. Argo cover there, and it works to perfection as Michael O'Shea runs him out of bounds at the 20. The return only 5.
Closed captioning of this program has been brought to you by GMC. GMC, building legends.
Now the warhorse, Michael O'Shea, who plays special teams and every down on defense with a big tackle there. 11 playoff games to his credit.
He has tremendous experience, which is so valuable to that huddle for the Argos. What the Saskatchewan Roughriders will try to do, though, the rest of this game is to isolate O'Shea on Corey Holmes. They feel that they can get Holmes out of that backfield and O'Shea goes to cover him. They have the advantage.
Well, for the first time in this game, Saskatchewan starting with poor field position. Play action, a good fake as Green rolls, and it's complete to Derek Armstrong at the first down marker in front of Bonner.
Demetrius Maxey is so worried now about Cedric Shaw because of the success he's had in this first half that he bites that fake hook, line, and sinker. He just flies down in there from this side of your screen. Demetrius Maxey, 91, is in the backfield, but the ball isn't there. Nealon Green has it outside to Derek Armstrong.
It's an 11-yard gain, and the play action has been set up nicely by Nealon Green and Danny Barrett in the Saskatchewan offense. Green, empty backfield, pitch pass to the short side, and it's Rocky Henry galloping before Roger Dunbracht on the defensive line brings him down after an 18-yard gain.
Nealon Green is playing so confidently right now. You see the little things that he does on that little hitch pass. When he took the snap of the ball, watch how he looks away. He looks to his right, and back over to the left. He knew that ball was going over there the entire time. Those are the little things that the quarterback can do to make a difference, and it shows great confidence from that position.
Glenn, the Saskatchewan game plan is operating to perfection right now. They've had time to set up drives, set up the play action. The Argos, on the other hand, have not had much success at all to set anything up. This time, the handoff is to Holmes. He rolls off a tackle, and again, it's O'Shea having to make the tackle deep and close to a first down.
Well, it's pick your poison right now, and that's Saskatchewan running game.
So the Riders offense in full gear with a 10-0 lead in Toronto. Danny Barrett with some last-minute advice to his starter, surrounded by his quorum of quarterbacks. And he is really holding all the cards in a masterfully executed game plan so far. I was talking to Nealon Green yesterday, and I said, well, what about your approach here today? And he said, you'll have to ask Danny. I don't really know the game plan. I'll execute what he calls.
And Danny Barrett will call the plays, and you see those backup quarterbacks are never too far away from him. Trying to learn everything they can.
Green good on 7 of 11 for 99 yards and a touchdown so far. Hand off to big Chris Zarka. And he's hog-tied from behind as Johnny Scott and Demetrius Maxey figure in that play.
And not a lot of yards from Zarka there, but it's an important part of the game plan that Danny Barrett creates is to give the ball to Zarka occasionally. 6 to 9 times per game. The reason for it is that you can't just key on Holmes or Shaw.
What do you think about the way Danny Barrett has managed these young quarterbacks, piecing out play-by-play?
Well, it's really Danny Barrett and the posse. Rocky Butler, Kevin Glenn, Nealon Green. They don't go very far away from Danny Barrett because they know how valuable his experience is. He played the position.
Dylan Ching now in at receiver. Green wants to go deep again to Derek Armstrong. Coverage from Bashir Livingston. It's bounced and into the hands. Fumble! Argos have the ball. Armstrong had it, then dropped it. And Orlando Steinauer, the CFL's leading tackler, with a big save.
He cannot believe it. Derek Armstrong twice now has won the jump ball and twice has lost the handle after the fact. He wins the jump ball on Livingston one more time. Now he has control. Livingston doesn't quit. Boy, this is a good battle going on right now. Livingston has got a couple of knockdowns, a couple of times he's got the ball out of there, and Armstrong has the one touchdown on him, so the battle continues.
Well, Armstrong had a 4-inch advantage in height. He went up for the ball, and Nealon Green with what looked like another sure strike as the ball stripped from Armstrong, and Livingston, the rookie, really in 3 tough situations here today already. The Argos, though, have not been able to do much on offense, Glenn. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the concern, and that's what Mike Clemens will talk about at halftime. Guys, our defense not playing too bad. Got to short the run a little bit, but offensively we got to get going in a hurry.
Operating from his own end zone, Slack looking for Alford, and it's incomplete.
You know, and right now that secondary has really crawled up on the receivers. They're playing bump coverage. They're up in there close. Eddie Davis, Morgan, you see Ladolphus McAllen, all the plays he's made. The way you get those defensive backs off you as a receiver is to go deep a couple of times. You've got to show them that you're going deep so they get out of their back pedal and fear the deep ball. If you don't, you'll keep crawling up on a receiver till you're basically wearing them like a jersey.
2nd and 10 in the shadow of their own goalpost. The Argos have got to get out of here. There's still lots of time for Saskatchewan to mount another drive. Slack in trouble and sacked. It's Shante Peoples with his 2nd sack of the game and a 2-point safety touch for Saskatchewan.
They wanted to go to Ted Alford. Alford had the isolation, the one-on-one on Omar Morgan on the backside, and when Reggie Slack dropped out of there, he relied on his receiver. Now he's going to say, I'm looking to the left, I'm locking in. Watch him look to the left. Here he goes. It's not there. It's covered. By the time he looks back, Shante Peoples is home. Your receivers have got to give you an option. There was some time initially. Omar Morgan, he gets the sack for Shante Peoples.
Tell you what, there's a man making a case for the Warriors. Shante Peoples picks himself up off the field twice for the knee injury, gets his 2nd sack of the game to match his entire season total.
Right, but he has to go over there right now and thank Omar Morgan, because he put a blanket on Ted Alford. And they've always worked together. The secondary and the pass rush are always working together. If you get good coverage, then Shante Peoples has a chance to get at Reggie Slack. He looked at 2 receivers there. He went to the field to Daryl Mitchell. He was covered. Went back to Ted Alford. He was covered. Hung on to the football. Shante Peoples got there.
Well, the frustration written all over the faces of Slack and Mike Pinball Clements as Argo bench is low. Down 12-0 with 1:50 to go until halftime.
And Mark, Saskatchewan has time for more points. 1:50 is plenty of time in the half. Argos have to kick off after the safety.
They give up 2 and they give the ball back to Saskatchewan. Corey Holmes at his own 13-yard line with a burst of speed looking for a seam, and he's brought down at the 35-yard line with 1:43 to play until halftime. A 22-yard return.
I'll tell you something too. I mean, when you look at the first half for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they're moving the ball along the ground. They had the field position advantage, and earlier you see the missed field goal and the punts. Earlier they weren't taking advantage of that with points. Then they got the touchdown to Derek Armstrong, and then Armstrong fumbled down the 5. So moved the ball successfully, haven't finished as often as they could have, or this would be a blowout already.
Really, the Riders should have 3 touchdowns already in this first half.
That's right. That's the good news for the Argos. And that's the good news for Mike Clemens. He says, guys, we got to shore up some areas, but we're still in this football game.
And they're on defense as the Riders go back to work. Cedric Shaw juking, breaks a tackle, still alive, hit again from behind, and that was a moxie effort for 5 yards on the play.
We always talk about the experience difference and how it favored the Argos so much coming into this game. That's playoff experience. And right now, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a team that is younger by about 3 years across the board on average, has about a third of the playoff experience, is playing like they don't know any better. Playing aggressively, attacking the line of scrimmage, running the ball. They're playing with confidence. They don't know. It's just another game for them.
Yeah, I mean, Nealon Green was saying, I spent the week talking to 22 and 23-year-olds, telling them, hey, you don't want to go home yet. It's playoff time in the CFL. Green thinks about running. He hesitates, and he won't get past Demetrius Maxey.
That's a big play for Maxey. Even though the Riders are in their own end, Demetrius Maxey can get a little momentum for the defense with that tackle. And with over a minute left, Reggie Slack with a couple of completions can maybe look at a field goal attempt. All about momentum in the game of football, and if you can take some in at halftime, it gives you a huge advantage coming out after that break.
So the 7-year veteran back in the CFL after being cut by the Bills and the Colts with a big shoestring tackle there on the elusive Nealon Green, forcing Saskatchewan to punt with 1:08. The Argos have called a timeout to regroup.
Good decision. That's a good decision by Mike Clemens. You get 1 timeout per half. Use it now. Make sure you have your offense so they can go over there, probably call 2 plays in the huddle at a time. Use as much of this minute as they can and try and get in at least field goal position.
Callum running the play clock down to 9. Gets a high punt away to Matt Cody. Reverse Argos with a trick up their sleeve here. It's Livingston. He ran one back 90 yards against Ottawa. Still going now. Livingston with open field. And he might go all the way. The Argos score. Touchdown. A 76-yard return. And the pinball pulls one off.
That's why Mike Clements called the timeout. He called the timeout to make sure everybody remembered their assignments on the reverse, on the punt return.
Bashir Livingston with his second punt return for a touchdown this year, and he'll keep that football.
Talk about grabbing some momentum before the half. This team just won't quit. They didn't quit in the regular season. They battled to get in the playoffs, and they're not quitting here this afternoon.
Argo fans with something to cheer about as Prefontaine has the point after. And the Argos are back in this Eastern semifinal. The rookie Livingston, who's waged a battle on the corner with Derek Armstrong with a big 76-yard return for a touchdown here.
Key timeout is called. The punt goes down to the right side of the formation. McCallum's been angling it there. Cody with a little toss to Livingston. Now, that's the drawn-up play. This is Livingston on his own. The cutback right here is key. Now he's got his blockers. They've all got angles, and it's just the speed of Livingston to the end zone. What a timeout by Mike Clements to call it, to make sure everyone had their assignment so that this play runs the way it does.
And how about number 90, Chuck Walsh? Watch the big block here by the Burlington boy. If we can get a chance to see it, let's set him free right there. So Bashir Livingston ran about 150 yards to gain 76. The punt return for a touchdown, and the pinball is smiling for the first time this afternoon.
Wow, he is excited, and that's a good call by him. Jim Ballard, the backup quarterback, right after Livingston hit the end zone, turned to Mike Clements and said, "Great call." I watched him do it because Clements not only decided to call it, but called the timeout to make sure everybody knew their assignment.
So what a day so far for the rookie from Eastern Washington University. And one of the defensive linemen, Scott Schultz, is down.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a concern with Shante Peoples on the limp, still playing, but on the limp. Now Scott Schultz is your backup. He's down. Looked like a cramp. Now Danny Barrett has controlled this football game. He just hasn't put the points on the board when he's had the opportunities, and now he's looking at an all-out brawl in the second half.
And isn't that got to be disappointing for him? Control the football game. The Argos haven't been in it, and with one big play, they inject themselves back into this playoff game. Just like a lot of their wins this year, the Argos have been beaten in statistics to find a way to scratch it back.
And how about Livingston so far in this game? Derek Armstrong has been going up on top when Livingston's been playing the corner. He's been battling that matchup. He's won a couple of battles there. He's given up one touchdown. He forgot about that in a hurry. And Darryl Adrolin, the special teams coordinator, says, let's give him the football. This rookie doesn't know any better either. He's forgot about that deep one he gave up, and he makes a big, big play for the Argos.
A brilliant call. As the Argos set to kick off to this man, Corey Holmes, and he's a game breaker too. A line drive. Kennedy Nikiasen fumbles it, picks it up at his own 20. Nikiasen scrambling, and that is drilled. It's Mike O'Shea, the yeoman for the Argos. A 60-yard boot and an 18-yard return.
And the Riders really they don't have to be concerned about too much at this point, especially offensively. They're executing the game plan that they brought in, and that's why you see Danny Barrett. Okay, now this is where you face some adversity. You see the smile from the head coach as he talks to Nealon Green. You know, when you face adversity, it's not as much fun on the sideline. However, in order to be a champion, to move to the next level, every team faces that adversity, and it's how you deal with it that determines whether you win or lose.
Well, now Nealon Green's in a football game as the Argo medical staff attend to Chuck Walsh, who had a key block on that punt return by Livingston. Walsh back on the roster this week. A special teams player who treats starting on special teams as a full-time job, is not one of those egotistical players who worries more about starting at linebacker. Now Danny Barrett composing his young quarterback as he's done all season long.
You know, I got to remember I've been in that position before, and all you want is an opportunity, you know, to get into a rhythm. And I would allow him every opportunity to get into a rhythm so he can be the type of explosive quarterback that he is.
And Nealon Green has said he has benefited from this former quarterback's advice. He's learned more this year about reading defenses than he has in his whole career up here.
Well, I don't think you can emphasize enough the importance of having your head coach and even your position coach be a player who's been in the battle and a guy who's been out there in the huddle. He knows what it's like to get pulled. He knows what it's like to get in a rhythm. He knows what it's like when the offense is struggling or faces adversity. And so when you look at a coach like that, he comes from experience. And you know what he says, if you listen to him and you learn from him, you're going to end up having success in the league. And that's why these quarterbacks have started to really develop under Danny Barrett.
So Barrett down on one knee as his offense goes to work with 34 seconds to play in the opening half. Nealon Green passing for 147 yards, 8 of 12. Terrific start for him. They'll stay on the ground, play it conservatively. It's Cedric Shaw. Look at that. Finding room, breaking another tackle. It was Mike O'Shea. He went right past. And finally, he's wrestled to the ground after a gain of about 13 yards and a first down.
Well, now with that run from Cedric Shaw, Danny Barrett can go back with his receiving set. He can line up, maybe get a hurry up, get 2 or 3 plays and line up for a field goal, try and take some of that momentum back from the Argo. But that Cedric Shaw run is the reason he can do that.
Shaw has been dancing in the first half, busting tackles. He's been a force and a leader on this young offense. Behind a beaten-up offensive line that's come to play this afternoon for Saskatchewan. This will be the final play, it looks like, of the opening half. Green will run. He's hit hard by Mike O'Shea at center field. And that will be the final play of the first half as the gun sounds. Pinball Clemens is first to the Argo locker room. And what will he have to say after that inspirational talk 1 week ago in advance of the Argo comeback? Nealon Green has had a tremendous first half, but the wind has been knocked out of the Saskatchewan sails with that big Argo touchdown return. Here's Bruce.
Thank you very much, Mark. With the Rough Rider coach Danny Barrett. Danny, how much steam has been taken out of your team by that late punt return?
None at all. None at all. It's a part of the game. And I see guys walking off the field, their hands on their hip on the other side of the football. So it hadn't taken anything out of our team. We came in for one thing only, and that's to win the football game. We got 30 more minutes and take care of that.
What about a word or two on your secondary? The hits have been huge.
Exactly. And we got a good defense. We got unrecognized across the league this year. So our guys are making a statement today.
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
All right, Argo coach Danny Barrett, actually Rough Rider coach. And coming up, Brian Williams, Eric Tillman, and Danny McManus, our panel in Winnipeg, when the CFL on CBC continues.
Halftime in Toronto, Saskatchewan should have at least 2 more touchdowns. They lead by only 5, a drop by Armstrong, a fumble by Armstrong, and of course the late touchdown for Toronto by Bashir Livingston. Here in Winnipeg at this time of the year, great conditions for football. Blue Bombers had hoped for a blizzard. That will not happen today. They had snow yesterday. It's -6 degrees, no snow in the forecast, and this field at Canadian Stadium in outstanding condition. Joining me here in the studio in just a minute, the general manager of the Ottawa Renegades, Eric Tillman, and the quarterback for the Hamilton Ticats, Danny McManus. The game here later this afternoon as the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers should be a good one, with a preview of the second semifinal of the afternoon. Here once again is CBC's Brenda Irving.
The Bombers are the CFL's hottest team heading into the playoffs. A big reason for that success has been quarterback Kahari Jones and his favorite target, Milt Stegall, the league's most potent passing duo. But Stegall won't be playing today after suffering what's believed to be a hip pointer.
You know, I'm one person. People say, may I make a big difference, but my difference can be made up with other guys, and they will definitely make it up. So, I mean, I'll be on the sideline cheering them on, wishing I was out there, but I want to give them my support 100%.
The Lions have injury concerns of their own. Damon Allen hurt his ribs in practice this week. He'll need freezing today to kill the pain.
I may have to shoot it up because the pain is unbearable to be able to throw. But, you know, I was just warming up, preparing for this week after having 3 days off. And, you know, just warming up, and I, you know, felt some tweaking in my left side. And, you know, the next ball I threw, I couldn't throw it anymore.
Since GM Adam Rita took over as coach, the team's gone 9-3. A big reason is their defense. Last week, they held Saskatchewan to just 245 total yards.
They play good team defense, and they do a lot of different things to try to confuse your offense. And so as an offense, I think you have to be real disciplined when you play against those guys and just stick to your guns. Know they're going to make a few plays, but you have to be ready when your time arises to make plays also.
Defense is also a strength for the Bombers. On paper, they have the most impressive defensive numbers in the league.
They're bend but don't break defense. They're good defense. They fly to the football. You know, all 12 guys are around the football, and they like to pursue. So we just got to be patient.
One thing for sure, there's no love lost between these teams. In their previous 3 meetings, they racked up the penalty yards, so discipline will be a key factor in today's game.
Thank you, Brenda. By the way, the BC Lions winning 2 of the 3 meetings this season with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We take a break. When we return live from here in Winnipeg, Eric Tillman and Danny McManus will have analysis and highlights from the first half in Toronto, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders lead the Argonauts by 5.
Pro Tips with Chris Walby, brought to you by Dodge. Grab life by the horns.
Hey, welcome to Pro Tips. Riddle me this. How is it an outstanding receiver who's double-teamed and even triple-teamed keeps coming up with a big catch time after time? Milt Stegall of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is here to tell us exactly how he does it.
Thanks, Chris. Today we're going to talk about the importance of hand position and coming back to the ball. Today I have Marvin Coleman, one of the greatest DBs, except when he's covering me, to help me out today. First of all, as a receiver, you want to start low, have your hands in tight, come off the ball low, explosive, looking at the DB, running as hard as you can. When you get to your position, plant, come back to the ball, extend your hands. Never let it hit your body, because most of the time it'll fall. Extend your hands, look it in, tuck it away, spin, stiff arm the DB, score, do your dance, take it home.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Thanks, Milt. Great tip. And now I totally understand why the only way that people can actually cover you is with a blanket when you go to sleep. See you next time.
Pro Tips with Chris Walby, brought to you by Dodge. Grab life by the horns.
Thank you, Chris, and that's the only time we'll see Milt Stegall on the turf here in Winnipeg today, as he will miss the Winnipeg-BC game with a hip pointer. Halftime in Toronto, the Saskatchewan Roughriders with a 5-point lead. The general manager of the Ottawa Renegades, Eric Tillman, the quarterback of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Danny McManus. Let's take a look at some first half highlights. You predicted that Saskatchewan would have to try and run the ball, establish the run to set up the pass.
I think they just want to get back to what they were doing early in the season. That's the bread and butter, is their running game. They were able to establish that with a 2 tight end set. You see Corey Holmes doing a great job on the run. He's making people miss and then getting downfield. That's one of the things that is the brightest part of Saskatchewan's offense right now, is that they're moving the ball on the run.
Everyone talks about defense. They talk about 2 teams we'll see here later this afternoon, Winnipeg and BC. But you said prior to this game, in particular, when you talk about pass D, don't overlook Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and Danny Barrett addressed it at halftime. He talked about that. He thought his defensive crew got overlooked a little bit. And you look at the interception here, McCullough just does a great job stepping right in front of it. And when you got guys who like that can anticipate where the pass is going to be and make big plays, it sets up your offense perfectly with the short field.
Now, you talk about big plays. Eric Tillman said prior to this game, look out for special teams, in particular Saskatchewan special teams, and in particular Corey Holmes, and that's what we saw.
Well, Corey Holmes is definitely a special player. We talked about his impact on the game and field position and how important it is, and you're going to see both Corey Holmes and his impact right here. A great return. This is a young man. Roy Shivers deserves a lot of credit for bringing him into the game, but he sets a very favorable field position. The first play, they go up top, go vertically, attack the Argos, go to Armstrong, get 7 points. When you get a big play, when you capitalize on field position, go for the throat. They did that. You know, they had a great opportunity in this first half to put this game away, and they didn't, but they have certainly made a lot of big plays, Brian.
Yeah, they had an opportunity. It was Armstrong with a drop and a fumble. They should have had 2 more touchdowns. Now, on the other side, we talked here, and the guy said, look, maybe the Toronto defense will be tired. Danny said, yeah, on the other side, if Toronto gets a big play, look out, it could break the momentum for Saskatchewan, maybe destroy their spirit a bit. And let's have a look at the Bashir-Livingston play.
Well, the one thing it does, it helps them in the locker room here at halftime. They might have been going into the locker room feeling pretty bad about their performance, but right now this is an instant boost of adrenaline that's going through the Toronto locker room, and the second half is going to be pretty exciting.
In that second half, Eric Tillman, what do you look for?
Well, I think the first thing that Toronto's got to do is find a way to give their quarterback some protection. I mean, right now it looks like water going through a screen door right now. It's hard to throw the ball when you're sitting on your butt. But you know, the bottom line is that they were down 12-0. Saskatchewan had all the momentum, played an outstanding first half, but by making that play right before halftime, they changed the dynamic. It's 12-7. It's anybody's ball game.
It is semifinal Sunday here in CBC, halftime in Toronto. In less than 90 minutes from here in Winnipeg, we'll have the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Livingston with a big play. This is going to be interesting. Second half coming up after this.
Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto. Both teams are back on the field as we get set for the second half. Right now, let's go to the Argo bench, and here's Bruce with Argo head coach Pinball Clemens.
Thank you, Mark. Here is the Pinball. You're becoming somewhat famous for your halftime speeches. What was said today?
I think the real key here is for us now to go out defensively and do whatever it takes to win the football game. That's the nucleus of our team. If they have to shut them down and score, that's what they have to do. Offensively, we got to get some continuity. Very fortunate to be in this football game after making a big play and having a field goal on their part hit the goalpost. Great opportunity for us. We got to hunker down, play great defense. That's what keeps us in the game. Now we're going to have to put something together offensively so we can win it.
What did the late TD do for your team's mood?
I think talking about a real momentum lift, and that's what you have to do in a game like this. You have to find ways to score. It's like playing in the National League in baseball. We're going to have to manufacture runs.
Okay, Coach, thank you. Mark, that's the Pinball.
Right, Bruce, and the head coach hit it on the head when he said his football team is fortunate, Glenn. They've been outplayed in every statistic in that first half, but they only trailed by 5 points.
Well, yeah, when you look at the numbers, that's what would indicate. Saskatchewan Roughriders 260 yards of offense, and the rushing yards 113-4 for the Argos. So they're dominating in most categories except on the scoreboard.
What do you think the Argos have got to do on offense to finally get some production? I mean, look at the numbers for Reggie Slack, 66 yards passing in the first half. That won't cut it.
Well, 2 things. First of all, I think Eric Tillman is correct. They have to shore up the protection, give Reggie Slack a little more time in the pocket. Secondly, they've got to go deep with that football.
Well, you know that the Pinball has patience in the veteran Slack as he gives them some words of advice. Let's take a look at your Canadian Tire game notes.
Well, he said Nealon Green had to run. He didn't rack up a bunch of yards for Saskatchewan, but did have 5 carries and proved that he will run. Defensively, take Mitchell out of there, and they've done that. 2 catches for just 25 yards for Daryl Mitchell. The Argos are behind because they haven't gone deep. 0 for 2 for Slack, and defensively control Corey Holmes. They're not doing that either. 116 all-purpose yards for Mr. Holmes.
And we're underway. Matt Cody with the opening kickoff behind Sean Daniels looking for a block. And George White subbing for the injured Jackie Mitchell this afternoon makes the tackle. As Bob Moran goes over the game plan with Reggie Slack and Jim Ballard. We'll take a look at Slack's passing distribution.
Well, it's just when you look at where Reggie Slack is throwing the football, you know, this is the open area, and go down the middle with it, get Ben Dross, get Daryl Mitchell, send them down those seams, and try and get the Saskatchewan defensive backs to turn and get off you a little bit, because right now those receivers aren't open for Reggie Slack.
Well, 1 week ago, Reggie Slack was untracked in the second half against Calgary. And they do the same here today. A flag on the play. He finds Daryl Mitchell settling with the reception at the 45-yard line for gain of 7.
Daryl Mitchell has seen a lot of double coverage, and what they're trying to do is get the linebacker, it's usually Reggie Hunt, to walk out and jam Mitchell, and then have the defensive back in behind him, either Eddie Davis.
Offside, Toronto, number 86. First down, repeat it.
Or Jabir Walker, whoever it happens to be on that side of the field, to pick him up deep. What that does, and what it should do, is put Demetrius Bendros in a one-on-one on the opposite side of the field. And that's where he has to flourish.
Demetrius Bendros called on the offside. The Argos get off on the wrong foot. It is 1st and 15.
That's him up at the top of your screen.
Slack, hands off. Robert Drummond running to the 40-yard line. The gain will be 7, as the veteran of 9 CFL seasons has been in the playoffs every one of those years and sports 4 Grey Cup rings.
So these offensive linemen get a chance to set their feet and then get off and get off on the blocks. And when they come down the field, that gives them a chance to fire out on a draw play like that. Gives them a chance to get a run block in there. They've had some protection problems, but they can't sit on their heels all game long. Offensive linemen need to fire out every now and then.
So after the gain of 7, it's 2nd and 8 Argos. Ball at their own 40-yard line as they've been completely outrushed. Pressure. Slack gets it away. Oh, a great catch by Mookie Mitchell. And a first down in center field. Slack, though, what poise under pressure.
Yeah, just lock in. Lock in to Daryl Mitchell. And we've seen he's had some double team. This time Saskatchewan decides to go to zone defense, so he's not being double teamed. Little jam there by Davin Bush, who's playing linebacker on the play. And then Bush lets Mitchell get back into the middle. Whenever Reggie Slack sees zone defense, he's going to go right to Daryl Mitchell.
Saskatchewan normally a man-to-man pass defense. Slack taking advantage there with a 15-yard pass and run to Daryl Mitchell. First down Argos. Slack in the pocket. There's some pressure. He's sacked. Nate Davis puts his meat hooks into the Argo QB.
Well, this time I think Reggie Slack had the play called that we're talking about, and that's the deep pass to Demetrius Bendros. Bendros is the 3rd receiver. You saw him just flash to the left of your screen. You see him lock in there. Reggie Slack's looking for him. Bendros is not open. He's being covered down the field by Davin Bush, who's the linebacker who walks out, and he's right on him along with safety Jason Mallett.
Davis with the 3rd sack of the game for Saskatchewan. And the Argos have got to get some protection for their quarterback. 2nd down, 18 to go. Slack rolling the pocket. It's incomplete. There's a flag on the play as Andre Talbot was manhandled before the ball got there. Omar Morgan looks like will be the defender called for that pass interference.
Yeah, and see, in fairness to this offensive line in Toronto come out in the second half, I think on the last 2 plays, Slack has had some time. He took a sack to Nate Davis. There's no question, but that's again a covered sack. And on that last play, he had time on the rollout to deliver the pass. Omar Morgan was all over the receiver.
Saskatchewan, number 3, first down.
See Reggie Slack looking at his wristband. He's got his situation plays on the inside of that wristband. First down, 2nd between 3 and 7, 2nd and 8 and long. As we take another look at the interference, Talbot has been roughed up a couple of times in this football game.
See how aggressively Omar Morgan is playing that out? If Talbot runs an out and up, the Argos may have a play.
Danny Barrett saying his secondary has not gotten the respect it deserves this year. Here's Slack with more pressure going deep. Bendros open. He's got it. Now they'll wave it off.
Oh, boy.
Bendros had it, then dropped the ball. Flying on the corner route.
They finally got the opportunity, though. Bendros all the way across the middle of the field on Davin Bush. He's got to step on him. But Bush, again, doesn't quit. He pulls his hand, and he pulls that football out of there. I think he grabbed the left hand of Bendros.
What an aggressive secondary. That's the 3rd time today the secondary has come up with some big plays.
But the fact that they called the deep pattern to Bendros may help the Argos.
2nd and 10, Slack stepping up. There's pressure from behind. He gets away, buys himself some time, looking for Bendros deep downfield. The coverage is there. There's Mookie Mitchell. Oh! He can't hold on. Mitchell running into the same district as Bendros in a jump ball.
Daryl Mitchell's pattern took him to the opposite side of the formation, but when he saw his quarterback in trouble to the right, as Reggie Slack has to get out of that pocket and move to his right, he started following the quarterback. He has no idea that Bendros is sitting there waiting for this like it would be a punt. That's why both receivers in the same area, Mitchell almost makes the spectacular catch. Here's Bendros. He's the intended receiver, and he has position. He probably catches that for a touchdown if Mitchell doesn't knock it out of there.
Two tough plays on some dramatic passes from Slack, and McCalla can't get to that punt from Prefontaine as he deftly angles it out of bounds at the 10-yard line. A 38-yard punt and no return.
Third quarter at Skydome, 12-7 Roughriders. 2 weeks from yesterday, this trophy will be contested here in this building, the Vanier Cup, the CIS Championship. This is Mike McKenna, the event director. You've got a great Final Four.
Oh, it's just going to be unbelievable. 4 real good quality teams from across Canada battling it out for the opportunity to compete here at the Skydome for the Vanier Cup. We've got McMaster against St. Mary's next Saturday in Hamilton, Saskatchewan against McGill in Montreal, and those are just going to be 2 great games. Really what's going to gear up to a great weekend of football for Canadians, the Vanier Cup and the Grey Cup on the same weekend. Really a football fan's dream, Bruce.
How do you get tickets?
Call the office in Toronto, 1-866-4-VANIER, or obviously visit your local Ticketmaster outlet.
2 weeks from yesterday. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right, Mark.
Right, Bruce, that should be an exciting afternoon. Procedure called against Saskatchewan, and they'll move the ball to the 5-yard line as they open this drive. Marcel Belfoy, the offensive line coach for Saskatchewan, has known the excitement of the Vanier Cup as his Ottawa GGs prevailed in the year 2000, and now he's graduated to the CFL.
Done a nice job with a banged-up offensive line all season long.
He has. 1st and 15. Green, quarterback draw, looking for a seam. He won't find one. Mike O'Shea, Roger Dunbrack there to wrap him up.
Mike O'Shea playing the spy technique on Nealon Green, and basically this is Bond, James Bond, because he's just got to spy on Green and not move. If Green moves to the left, you move with him. Green moves to the right, you go with him. Green gets a hot dog, you get the mustard. And that's exactly what Mike O'Shea did. Tracked him down.
There's Rich Stubler playing hurt. He has pneumonia and flew in from Georgetown, Texas, as he has been on a weekly basis, to be a second set of eyes as a defensive spotter, but in effect he's calling a lot of defensive plays for this Argo defense. Coming to the team after Gary Echeverry was released 6 weeks to go in the season. And Maxey again with a big play, and the Argo defense rising up here, limiting the game to 3 and forcing Saskatchewan to punt from its own end zone.
Well, and what Danny Barrett may decide to do after the big play by that Argo defensive line is to give up 2 points here, because Paul McCallum's going to be so deep in his end zone that this is automatic field position for the Argos. There's McCallum way back in here. I mean, McCallum over 10 yards deep in his end zone. This is an automatic 3-point opportunity, so Danny Barrett likely give up 2, get the field position back. And now it's a 3-point game.
11 men will rush.
No, he won't.
He'll drop it off as Cody is pushed back. He had to go back 15 yards inside his own 50. Gets a seam. Matt Cody full speed. Oh, and he's tackled quickly. Simon Buffo with a big tackle. And a punt cover for Saskatchewan.
Mark, I don't know. I mean, I would never sit and second guess a coach. You are that deep in the end zone. Now, Cody, they got a good kick, but Cody got the return. He almost outkicked his coverage with that big punt. Cody gets the return, and now you're basically in Noel Prefontaine's range for 3 points automatically without moving the ball at all. You give up 2 and punt the football, you save that extra point, and in a game this close, at 1 point could be the difference.
Matt Cody joining this team last week, coming up for a tryout, pressed into service with Jimmy the Jet Cunningham nursing a quad injury, and a big return there. Tremendous field position for the Argos. On the 42, Slack, lots of time, going downfield, Cody diving, he's got it! Matt Cody with back-to-back big plays for the Argos. 32 yards and a big
first down. That is the third big play in the last 2 series. And when I say that, I mean the third time that the Argos have pushed the ball down the field. Coming out at halftime, that's what we told you they have to do to open things up. Get the Saskatchewan secondary to turn. Get them back there. Get them off you. This is the third one, and it's the first one they finally hooked up on.
And it's the first time that Matt Cody has figured in the offense in this football game, coming in as an extra receiver. Some confusion there as Slack backs off into the shotgun. First down, Argos at the 10. Slack, draw, running hard, but he was clipped as he crossed the line of scrimmage. His gain will be limited to 4.
Now that safety option is looking like possibility that should have been the option for Danny Barrett, because now with the Argos knocking on the door, they're looking at not just giving up the 3, but a possibility at 7.
Second down, Argos, and goal to go from the 6-yard line as Barrett looks on nervously after deciding to punt from his end zone, trading field position with the Argos. Slack to pass to the end zone, incomplete, and there's a flag on the play. McCalla was all over Andre Talbot again.
The Argos wanted to try and run a rub play to have Mike Morreale run to the corner of the end zone and influence Ladolfius McCalla. He wasn't, but he played it so aggressively that he was all over the back of Talbot.
Number 1, first down.
Comes to the right of your screen. Morreale is the deep pattern. He's to try and get a little bit of a rub on McCalla. He plays it aggressively, comes underneath, and he is just manhandling it. Andre Talbot into the middle, and the flag flies.
Oh, it's a crucial penalty. It's first and goal, Argos from the 1-yard line. Pinball, watching from the sidelines. Slack to Drummond.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, he hit hard right at the line of scrimmage and driven back.
Oh, what a surge from that Saskatchewan defense. Robert Drummond has to rearrange the headgear because that defense hit the line of scrimmage. Coming downhill, Shante Peoples was in the middle of it, and Reggie Hunt over the top, and they turn him back.
Reggie Hunt leading the assault there as Barrett works his gum on the sidelines. It's second and goal from the 1, Argos. Slack up behind Chad Folk. Will go back to the veteran, Robert Drummond. Touchdown, Argos!
They don't like the call. Saskatchewan doesn't like it.
The 4-time Grey Cup champion, Robert Drummond, released by BC before the season started, playing with a chip on his shoulder. Scores for Toronto, and Barrett's punt backfires.
Tell you something, the veteran, he has never missed the playoffs. When you're talking about Robert Drummond, he has 4 Grey Cup rings. Like you mentioned, Mark, I'll tell you something. That little hesitation step he made at the goal line probably got him in there.
Kevin Ivan to hold the point after from Prefontaine. It's good. And the Argos have their first lead of this Eastern semifinal. Up by a deuce here in the third quarter. Robert Drummond with his 5th touchdown of the year on a tough defensive stand by Saskatchewan.
Well, Drummond with this hesitation. See that little hesitation step? Now, this is awful close, folks. I mean, he's right at the goal line. But see that official right there? Did not hesitate to make the touchdown call. From our angle, didn't look like he got in. But that official did not hesitate. There's the hit right there at the line of scrimmage. Official made the decision, and it was a touchdown, Argos. Now, Robert Drummond had to get some smelling salts after a couple of big hits to realize he did have a touchdown on the play.
Yes, the umpire Ian Bain was right there, and his indication was immediate as Robert Drummond caps that drive. The Argos opportunistic, taking advantage of tremendous field position to take the lead here in the second half. And what a kickoff. Holmes is driven back to his own 5. Ball bouncing. He finally picks it up at the 4. There's Adrian Smith with a tackle. And again, Saskatchewan will start with poor field position. A 70-yard kickoff by Prefontaine and a 6-yard return as Adrian Smith wraps up the threat of Corey Holmes.
You look at the drive for the Toronto Argonauts. soon as Reggie Slack made the decision to push the ball down the field, it has opened things up. Interference call there, and then the hesitation step from Robert Drummond, and gets in just.
Tell you what, this crowd has jumped into this football game. Pinball Clements with a clever reverse punt return for a touchdown. Livingston to gain some momentum just before the half. And now they have the lead. Cedric Shaw bulldozing his way through the heart of that Argo defense. He'll have 3.
You want to talk about a momentum and why this crowd is now in the football game? The return from Livingston to lead into halftime. Now the defense is pumped up in the second half, and Nealon Green has started to struggle with that football in the second half. And there's his hit chart. Completions mostly to the left side of the formation, and that's where Derek Armstrong has lined up more times than not.
And really good on one deep ball. So he's got to stretch the defense too, but they're in tough field position, and that makes it more conservative in terms of play selection. The hitch pass again to Holmes. He's got lots of room to build up speed. Clifford Ivory makes the tackle as Holmes crashes across the 21-yard line with a 10-yard gain and a first down.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, even though this is the first Argo lead, Saskatchewan doesn't need to stray from the game plan all that much. I mean, this was in the game plan from the get-go. This is one of the plays they had in the first series, to swing it out there to Corey Holmes, let him pick up first down. Nothing will take away the momentum from the Argos more than a consistent, solid drive from Saskatchewan right now.
Holmes with balance on the ground and through the air for Saskatchewan. Another hitch pass here. Screen, and it's Rocky Henry galloping, and good first down production by Saskatchewan. Gain will be about 8 yards.
Well, when Robert Drummond found that end zone, this Argo defense came on the field like they were lined up on the field almost before the kickoff return was complete. That's how pumped up they were. Now a couple of first downs starts to take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the defense. Now it's just another series from Artavius Houston and Michael O'Shea and the rest of the guys up front. A long, consistent, solid drive can take that momentum back, even if you don't get points.
And Pinball doesn't want this veteran defense on the field for long periods of time. Zarka up the gut on 2nd and 1. Don't forget, this young Saskatchewan offense can wear out a veteran defense.
And that's why Danny Baird makes the decision right there to go with Chris Zarka. This is a waste down for the Riders. They've got a chance if they want to take a gamble deep, but they don't. They go to Chris Zarka. Pound it up in there, get that first down. Let's slow the pace of the football game. I'm sure that's what Danny Baird is feeling like right now. He's got to take some momentum. Those guys are playing on the other side of the ball with a lot of enthusiasm right now.
So the Riders, trying to grind their way out of bad field position, have another first down. Double tight end formation. Play action. Green rolling right, pointing, directing traffic, and he's rocked. Joe Montford's there to stiffen him, and then Martavius Houston came in to finish him off.
Now the Argo defense have Saskatchewan in the position that they like to be in, and that's 2nd and long. This is a defense in Toronto that is #1 in the CFL in the regular season in interceptions. They love to make the big play. You get in 2nd and long on a defensive situation, you have a chance to send a little pressure from the linebacking core and create that big turnover in your secondary, and that's where Joe Montford comes in.
Joe Montford prowling that line of scrimmage with renewed vigor since this defense has been changed up under Rick Stubler. Green, flat-footed, waiting. Look at the time. 5 Steamboat, 6. Now he'll bail, throwing. It's complete to Brian Roberson, but he's going nowhere. Michael Fletcher with the stop for the Argos.
9 defenders dropped out of there. The Argos showed blitz on the line of scrimmage, and everybody else dropped back other than 3-man pressure. When everyone dropped back into that zone, you had 9 zones covered on the field. Nealon Green had no option but to dump it off, and Michael Fletcher made the tackle.
So McCallum will punt from the 20, angling this one to the near sideline. Bouncing, Livingston on one hop. Gets the seam and some speed. Livingston breaking a tackle. And he's finally gang tackled as he crosses the Saskatchewan 50-yard line. So the Argos will start again with good field position with a 2-point lead.
At Skydome, 1:41 left in the third, 14-12 Argos. Don't forget, next, 4 o'clock Eastern, the West Division semifinal, the Lions and the Blue Bombers. Chris Cuthbert, Chris Walby, and Brenda Irving with the call.
Looking forward to that, but there's still plenty of football left to go here in the Eastern semifinal as Slack goes back to work, starting on the Saskatchewan 47. And again, field position in this quarter has favored the Argos. Saskatchewan showing blitz flags all over the field, but it might be an Argo procedure here.
But you look at that last one, that's a 43-yard difference in field position in favor of the Argos in this second half. In the first half, that was dominated by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They were winning the field position battle, and they were ahead in the scoreboard. This is a game of real estate.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 92, still first down.
Not just yards, but feet and inches. And right now, the Argos have the advantage.
Sheldon, the pass to 52. Reggie Hunt also making contact.
Yeah, he was trying to time his blitz as he hit the line of scrimmage, and the timing was off.
So, talk about field position. Move the ball 5 yards further, closer to the end zone, and it's 1st and 5, Toronto. From the 42. Slack, play action. Mitchell. And Walker wraps him up immediately. The game will be 4.
But you see how Jabir Walker had to play off now. Demetrius Bendros goes deep a couple of times. Matt Cody catches a deep one in the seam. And now every one of those defenders, including Walker, they back off by 2 or 3 yards to give Mitchell that little out pattern. You know, and he's only a yard short, but that gives room to the receivers to catch the ball underneath a little bit when you push them deep.
So it's 2nd down, 1 to go. Argos moving the ball again. High formation backfield. It's the option, and Reggie Slack calls his own number for an Argo 1st down. This Argo offense, 6 weeks ago, Paul Masadi came down from his GM booth. Pinball came down from the president's office, and they went and looked at some old film from 96, 97 when they won Grey Cups with Doug Flutie, and they brought some of those plays back into their lineup. That really wasn't part of that situation in those days, but that triple option is always a threat.
It certainly is, and the way they beat Saskatchewan here in the regular season, part of the game plan. You don't have to take everything out. They looked at 97, they decided some of the good things they did and put that into the game plan.
1st down, Slack, time. He'll outlet the pass to Demetrius Bendros, and he's knocked out of bounds by Davin Bush for a gain of 6 on the play. So good 1st down production as the gun sounds to end the 3rd quarter. The Argos marching with 15 minutes to go and a 2-point lead over Saskatchewan in the Eastern semifinal. Quarter of football remains in this Eastern semifinal. The Argos leading by 2. And the offense came alive, Glenn, in the 3rd quarter, and the defense rose up.
Toronto Argonauts starting to push the football deep, now have 123 yards passing the football. That's way ahead of what they had after 2 quarters of play. So they're starting to move the ball down the field. That opens up some underneath stuff for them. Pretty much abandoned the running game.
The defense did not allow Saskatchewan a single point as Slack rolls left, he'll run. The big quarterback, just plowed his way out of bounds, running over Reggie Hunt.
You see how powerful Reggie Slack is. Danny Barrett said it to us yesterday when we met with the head coach. He said, you know, you can't underestimate the power of the quarterback position from Reggie Slack. He is a big, strong man at 6'2", 220. And Reggie Hunt can tell you, if you have any questions about it, just ask number 9.
Well, he put a lick on the linebacker who's still feeling it.
Reggie Hunt, Mark, had 89 tackles in the season.
That's right. He knows how to dish it out, and he took one there, and there's an injured Saskatchewan player. It looks like Shante Peoples is down again for the third time.
Yeah, and now this is a chance for Saskatchewan to regroup.
So Ivan Guthrie, the trainer, working on the left leg of Shante Peoples. Mike Pinball Clemens with some last-minute instructions for his quarterback, Reggie Slack. He was telling us not only does he like Slack's leadership and poise, but his toughness. Now talk about being able to dish shots out like that. He can take it too. Pinball was telling me yesterday that he's seen the x-rays of Reggie Slack's knees. He said they're the knees of a grandpa. They're arthritic. He said his knees were shot 5 years ago, but he's taken care of his body. He's worked on his muscle strength, and he was running marathons during the 2.5 years he was out of football.
And the players know that, you know, the players on offense especially, but across the board, they look at the quarterback. I mean, that's the leadership position. That's the position that you have to have a strong guy at, and they look at the guy, he's got the bad thumb, he plays with that. Doesn't bother him one bit. He's got the sore knees, doesn't bother him one bit, and he's out there directing the offense. It goes a long way through the rest of the team.
Playing with bone on the knees and a broken thumb in his passing hand. Slack in the shotgun, stepping up, looking down the middle for Daryl Mitchell. It's incomplete. Eddie Davis was step for step in coverage for Saskatchewan. Reggie Slack will regroup after looking for the major. This man has been through a lot of wars this year, twice forced out with hamstring problems.
You mentioned the knees. He's had hamstring troubles this year.
Scored that touchdown just after breaking his thumb on Thanksgiving against Hamilton. 2 weeks later, he was back and leading that comeback against Calgary last week to get the Argos into the playoffs. 2nd and 10, Toronto. Slack complete to Andre Talbot. Talbot turns inside, tries to break the tackle. Jabir Walker wraps him up short of the first down, and that Saskatchewan secondary takes the Argos helmet right off after a gain of 3. Talbot has really been manhandled by the secondary in this game, but
he's taken some big hits, but to his credit, he's got up every single time and is still trying to scrap and fight for that extra yard. Now he needed 10 for the first down, so no Prefontaine will come on the field, but you got to give the young guy credit. Andre Talbot, just 2 years in the league, playing some pretty tough football right now.
Pinball loves his work ethic, the sophomore out of Wilfrid Laurier University, and so a field goal attempt for Noel Prefontaine from the 27-yard line. Ball is down, kicked, and good. Prefontaine from the 27 opens a 5-point Argo lead. Well, we talked about experience favoring these men, the Argos, 2 playoff performers who have carved themselves a 5-point lead as we recap the scoring so far in this Eastern semifinal.
Eric Armstrong on his 3rd attempt gets in the end zone, gets Saskatchewan Roughriders a lead, but just before the half, Livingston with the reverse. He went the distance.
76 yards for his 2nd punt return touchdown of the year. How will the less experienced Saskatchewan Roughriders react under pressure? Rocky Henry, the intended receiver, incomplete.
Well, that's just it, Mark. You know, when we talked to Richie Hall yesterday, the defensive coordinator, he talked about, as a coach, wanting to put his team, there he is right there, in a position that in the 4th quarter, they are close enough on the scoreboard to win the game. That defense has given up some plays, but they are in that position. Now it's up to Nealon Green.
And he's having a tremendous afternoon passing the football. 13 minutes to go in regulation time. Saskatchewan has been at its best in the 4th quarter. Green looking deep downfield, wide open, Brian Roberson, and he's overthrown.
Green wanted a penalty. He thought Roberson got held up on the right side of the formation. The Argos were going with the straight blitz, so Nealon Green knew one thing. He's got man-to-man across the board, and he has no one in the middle of the field. So that's where he wants to try and get the football. Now, can Roberson get to the middle and meet the ball? He got tied up at the line of scrimmage or just passed it and couldn't get there.
Oh, a great call from the bench from Danny Barrett. Incomplete, and Saskatchewan punts. Matt Cody can't get there as the ball bounces out of bounds at the Toronto 31-yard line. A 44-yard punt and no return for Toronto.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the award-winning Mazda Tribute.
Reggie Slack going over the game plan with Bob Morin, who moved down at midseason from the press box, and Bill Dobson, who was on the sidelines, moved back up. Pinball Clemens explaining the change, that Morin sticks closer to the game plan.
And he wants the quarterbacks to stick closer to the game plan. You know, sometimes the quarterbacks can stray, and that's even the most veteran of quarterbacks start getting locked in on certain ideas. But right now, the Argos in the second half have managed the entire offense a lot better than they did in the first.
Slack has already doubled his first half numbers in passing. It's complete. Daryl Mitchell in the crossing pattern at full speed, and a Toronto first down. The Argos leading receiver, those pass reception numbers add up to the rest of the entire receiving corps.
And that's, you can basically, this is one of the toughest plays to cover. The Saskatchewan Roughriders in a zone defense. So Mitchell just runs from man to the next man in that zone, and he just has to find that little hole to catch the football and then pick up the yards on his own.
How many times have we seen Doug Flutie hook up with Mitchell on the same play? 13-yard gain for Mookie and a first down Toronto. There's the option handoff to another former Grey Cup champion in double blue, Robert Drummond up the gut. The gain will be 4 yards.
You know, football games often come down to one or two plays that make the difference, and right now that Livingston return before the half is huge for the Argos, but this could be a defensive play that could be the difference for Saskatchewan. I know there's still over 11 minutes left, but a first down here could be very demoralizing for a defense that's played pretty well and kept their team in it.
Second down and 6, Toronto. Slack with protection. Now his backs will bail out and Slack will run. The big quarterback is caught from behind, though, for a short gain and shy of the first down. So the punt team comes on for Toronto. Ray Jacobs, who won a Grey Cup with Calgary last year, and the defense comes up big for Saskatchewan.
Well, they certainly do, and Ray Jacobs, number 50, is the key. Now this, in the official stats at the end of the game, will go down as a tackle by Ray Jacobs on the quarterback. Not a big deal, right? Well, that is a big deal. And that's Ray Jacobs. You mentioned the Grey Cup ring he has with Calgary. That's one of the few veterans on the defense that knows the importance of that stop right there for his team.
Prefontaine with a 44.7-yard punt average this afternoon, sacrificing yards to pin Corey Holmes close to the sideline. This time he'll aim it to the far sideline. Holmes driven back to his own 12. Holmes looking to get outside the containment, and he's drilled as he crosses the 25-yard line. It's Robert Drummond on special teams with a big hit for the Argos to limit the return to 14. Argos leading by 5 in the fourth quarter in an Eastern semi that has been rocked by a hit parade. Big shots from that diminutive secondary of Saskatchewan.
Well, it's been a hard-hitting affair from start to finish. That was the last one. Bonner is now out, halfback, and Michael Fletcher goes to safety. Steinauer to the halfback spot.
Fletcher loves to get his nose dirty. Shotgun play-action pass. Green outlet pass to Derek Armstrong. Loses his footing momentarily, and then Kevin Ivan makes the tackle.
And Danny Barrett early in the first half went to the Armstrong matchup on Bashir Livingston. Will they go back to that matchup now? This is a little hitch pass on the play action to the outside to Armstrong. But the question is, this is a mismatch in height. 6'2" versus 5'10".
good battle between the rangy Armstrong and the rookie Livingston on that corner. It's a 7-yard pickup for Armstrong, who's well over 100 this afternoon. 2nd down and 3. Handoff, Holmes at full speed, and he's dropped right across the 36 where the first down marker is. The gain will be 3 and very close to a first down.
Close enough that they'll probably bring in the chains. Another big hit though in there, and this one that's maybe not as flashy, but Martavius Houston steps up in there and takes on Corey Holmes as he hits the line of scrimmage, and this has been an all-out brawl from start to finish.
Yes, they've been popping leather. There's the measurement, short by about the length of a football. So Barrett will meet with Green. It's pretty deep inside Saskatchewan territory.
Green looked at how much he had to get to that first down marker and said, no, I don't need a call here. I know what I'm going to do. I'll take the ball and go right behind my center.
So Danny Barrett and Nealon Green will roll the dice. 3rd down and the length of a football with the ball at the Saskatchewan 36.
This is as noisy as I've heard a Toronto crowd in a long time.
Trying to drown out the cadence from Green. Montford pointing. Green will sneak it, and he's hit right at the line of scrimmage. The Argos had all hands on deck there, but it looks like he might have it. Yes, they're moving the chains.
Talking to some of the Argo players about the game last week that got them into the playoffs, and they said they had a crowd of about 20,000 attendance up here in the Sky Dome, and they said that that was about as noisy as they've heard the crowd in a long time. They were on their feet, and they're that 13th man right now for the Toronto Argonauts as well.
Well, the announced attendance this afternoon, 23,124, one of the biggest crowds of the year here at the Sky Dome. 3,000 better than the sellouts they celebrate in Montreal. Pitch out. Cedric Shaw trying to get outside. He stops and is drilled. It's Michael Fletcher and Joe Montford with the tackle.
Well, here as we talked about the 4 horsemen and how they have been the key for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Corey Holmes, 32 yards rushing with 4 carries. 69 from Cedric Shaw. They're really getting it done. They're starting to move the football. They've controlled that line of scrimmage from start to finish. It's been a couple of big plays from the Argos that have grabbed the momentum in the second half, and they've hung on to it.
Again, the crowd rising up. 2nd and 10. Saskatchewan. Flags are down in the secondary, and the play is whistled dead.
Barely even hear the whistle. The crowd was that loud, and
time count violation. Call.
That's the 13th man.
Right there.
You get Nealon Green out of the line, and the crowd is so loud he can't audible.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan, number 15, still 2nd down.
That's how important the fans are when they come and support the team, because you get them out there and Nealon Green can't make the audible. He takes too much time, and it costs Saskatchewan 5 yards.
Well, it's nice to see an atmosphere, a theater here at the Sky Dome. The big crowd, again, raising the decibel level. 2nd and 15, Saskatchewan. Green shouting, gets the ball away.
Oh boy.
Pressure, it's a screen pass to Chris Zarka, but there's Montford right there to make the tackle.
It is tough to complete a screen and have success with it on Joe Montford's size. He's just too quick. I mean, Joe Montford can get involved in the pass rush on Zarka. Realize Zarka's the key receiver. Uses football sense, get out there, and is so quick to make the tackle that, it's almost impossible to complete a screen pass with success on Montford's side.
Well, Big Joe, the sack master, showing another dimension, his ability to get outside. Again, with 72 tackles this year, he was 10th in the CFL in tackles. Frustrated in the first half of the season. He only had 3 sacks at Labor Day. But his game has come on here late. High snap, McCallum gets it away. Wow, that might be his best of the day. Matt Cody backs to his own 27, and he won't go nowhere. Terrence Melton makes the tackle for Saskatchewan. No return on a 48-yard punt. You're looking live at Canadian Stadium in Winnipeg as we get set for the Western semifinal this afternoon at 4 Eastern. The BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers beginning to get ready in the locker room as the fans arrive. But here, Argo faithful have come out in large numbers here this afternoon. And they have been vocal. Slack at quarterback, staggered cadence. There's a flag. He may have drawn an offside. Bendros deep. He's got it. We saw that play in the first half. Bendros getting behind the veteran Eddie Davis, but there are flags.
Was he drawn offside or was Shante Peoples offside? I think Reggie Slack knew he had a free play here.
Offside, Saskatchewan 37.
Oh, that's a veteran quarterback with a staggered count to draw the defense and a 46-yard completion.
Two things, Mark. You're absolutely right. The staggered count draws the defense offside. He gets what he wants, and now he has a free play. Throw it up and let your receiver run under it. You got a free one because they're offside anyway. And that's exactly what Bendros did in behind Eddie Davis.
Well, he got behind Davis in the first quarter. The ball was overthrown. This time it was on the mark. And it's a big 46-yard gain. The Argos moving again on offense.
Fourth deep pass for Reggie Slack in the second half. He's completed 2. It's been the difference for this offense in the second half.
Well, when Saskatchewan released Bendros earlier this year, Pinball grabbed him immediately, looking for a big player. Completion. Alford, no, out of bounds. Ted Alford had the ball, but he could not stay with 1 foot in bounds.
Talk about again the next second down play. Question is, was Alford's feet in bounds? You need 1. And it looked like they landed simultaneously. The left foot on the white line and the right foot inbounds. So he's ruled as no catch. But again, beat the Saskatchewan defense looking at a second down, which is really their season. And they'll look at probably 1 or 2 more before this one's over.
2nd and 10, Argos. Slack rolling, pressure, gets the ball away. It's complete to Daryl Mitchell. He breaks a tackle, still on his feet, and he'll have an Argo first down. What a second effort. 11 yards the gain for Mookie.
Now the Argo experience you talked about from the beginning of the game starting to show up. Daryl Mitchell is way away from first down territory when he catches it, but watch the effort. He knows what he needs to get to, and that little move at the end of that to just shoot through the line and in between Ray Jacobs gets him the first down. This is a guy that in his playoff career, Daryl Mitchell is over 100 yards a game in the 3 he's played in the playoffs.
So the best friends, Pinball and Danny Barrett. Tense here in the late stages. Slack rolling now, buying himself more time. He'll throw. It's complete to Daryl Mitchell, but there's a flag. Argos are indicating it's interference against Saskatchewan. And concern now on the face of Danny Barrett.
Well, Ted Alford has part of his jersey pulled right off his shirt. And when your jersey as a receiver is hanging down around your arm and not over your shoulder pads, that's usually an indication. You see Ted Alford right there on the left side that there was some holding going on.
On the receiver, Saskatchewan number 1 is declined. First down.
Nadafius McCalla was on Ted Alford. That was the penalty. They declined it because of the Daryl Mitchell catch anyway.
A 19-yard gain, and it's a gut check time for the Saskatchewan defense. The Argos rolling now on offense.
Composure from Reggie Slack, nothing available in the initial play, and then he rolls out, and Daryl Mitchell works back to the quarterback.
Pinpoint accuracy. First and goal, Toronto on the 7. Play action, Slack rolling, waiting, he'll run, sidesteps the tackle, touchdown! Shades of 97! Reggie Slack scores for Toronto! Well, the patience pays off as Pinball waits for Slack to ignite, and he comes together in the second half. Unable to score anything in the first half on offense. The Argo pivot has charged up his offense here. And a big touchdown and a 24-12 lead.
An amazing run from Slack. I'll show you why. Reggie Hunt, number 9, and Ray Jacobs, 50, are 2-on-1 to the outside, but Jacobs doesn't know Hunt is farther outside than he is. So he overruns the play. Reggie Slack uses the momentum of the defender, cuts back in, and gets himself in that end zone.
Good fake, too, to Sean Daniels up the middle. They'll hold those backers for a second. And the pinball is electric again.
And now the Saskatchewan Roughriders have to take the reins of the 4 horsemen and just throw them around the log, because the running game has really got to disappear. 4:21 left now. Danny Barrett has got to put the ball in the air. He's got to get Nealon Green outside of the pocket. It's desperation time for Saskatchewan. They controlled the first half of this football game, and it fell apart after the Livingston return. They have not looked back, the Argos, since then.
A 12-0 Saskatchewan lead has evaporated. And the experienced Argos have taken advantage of their moments here in the second half. Corey Holmes got some magic up his sleeve on special teams as Prefontaine kicks off for Toronto. Holmes will let the ball go to Nikiasen. And he scrambles his way to the 35. Orlando Bowen makes the tackle for Toronto. An 18-yard return.
Another well-executed drive by Reggie Slack. Went deep with the football. That gets things going with Bendros on the waist down when Saskatchewan was offside. That opens up the underneath stuff and a crucial first down from Daryl Mitchell.
Beautiful throw on the run just to the sideline to Mitchell, and then the quarterback calls his own number for the touchdown from 7 yards out.
And of course, you're excited on the sideline if you're the Toronto Argonauts, but there's a lot of football to be played with 4 minutes to go. It's not over yet.
Green in the shotgun, gets it away. Holmes across the middle, breaks a tackle from Houston, still on his feet, finally dropped by Michael Fletcher. About 2 yards shy of the first down.
But you look at these Saskatchewan Roughriders, a young football team, just 52-man games, and you look in their eyes. In the first half right now, first half they were playing with confidence. They didn't really have anything to worry about. It was another game. In the second half, they struggled offensively, punting the football every time. Now there's doubt in those eyes.
That Argo defense held Calgary to a field goal in the second half last week. So far, they've held Saskatchewan scoreless. Armstrong with the catch and a first down, and he's driven out of bounds emphatically by Clifford Ivory after the 8-yard pickup, and there's some trash talk and some bad blood after that one.
Nealon Green, you mentioned, Mark said yesterday that it's the big games, it's the playoff games that you've got to win before you can actually make your mark as a quarterback. I think Danny McManus actually mentioned it as well, and he's certainly won enough big games in his career. Nealon Green has an opportunity. Now the clock is his worst enemy. He's going to call the plays the rest of the way on the line of scrimmage.
Green has not been a factor on the ground, rushing for only 17 yards. Now he needs his passing arm to come through. Down by 12. With all the noise, there's movement on the Argo side of the ball, and flags are down.
You're thinking 2 scores now for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the key may be the first one.
Time is whistled out. The 3-minute warning has arrived in the Eastern semifinal. Well, the look of disbelief on this young and inexperienced Saskatchewan bench. Building a 12-0 lead, and it's all fallen apart. They're down by 12 now with 3:03 to play. Lots of time, though, in the CFL. But does this team have the wherewithal and the confidence to come back?
This is such an emotional game, and you ride the roller coaster, and a young football team in Saskatchewan, you can see the doubt in their eyes now. It'll be up to Nealon Green to give them a reason to believe with just 3 minutes left. But he has to do it in a hurry.
They haven't won a game on the road since the very first week of the season when they beat Ottawa in overtime. And now they have to come back in the Argo house. Green looking. It's complete to Rocky Henry, and Henry is vigorous for the first down.
The way I look at it, with the 2 series that Green will have to have, he'll need to score in the next 30, 35 seconds to avoid having to go for the onside kick. If they can get the football, score here in about 20 to 30, 35 seconds, they can avoid the onside kick attempt, kick it deep, try to get it 2 and out and get the ball back. But that's really what they're looking at.
What a test of his clock management and his poise. And the fact that the signals are coming between him and Danny Barrett. Communication paramount now in the final 3 minutes. There's pressure from Montfort. The ball's away, and it's too high for Chris Darka. Incomplete.
On the other hand, the Argos defensively will likely go with the 4-man or even 3-man pressure and try and drop 8 or 9 into coverage. They want to not give up anything deep. The only thing as the Argos defensively you're thinking about now is don't give them 1 strike. If they're going to score on us, make them do it in 6 or 7 plays, not 1 strike. Now the clock is our buddy.
And that's been the Saskatchewan offense. A ball control, chip away, driven offense. Now they need the big plays if they're going to come back. 2:48 to go in regulation time. 2nd down and 10. Green with lots of time. Wide side pass. It's complete and then dropped. Jason French is drilled by Bashir Livingston and can't hang on.
Livingston just made another play, Mark. He comes up in that zone. Now, whether though Livingston is playing zone or man, he is the corner on the wide side of the field, and he's been matched up on Derek Armstrong all game. It's time for Danny Barrett and Nealon Green to decide to go after that matchup one more. Because whether you're in zone or man, it ends up man on Livingston and Armstrong. It's time. They need to go after it.
It's 3rd down and 10.
Well, they flip-flopped him now. They put Armstrong at the bottom.
Saskatchewan with a big gamble here. Pressure. Green escapes. He can't get out of the pocket. Roger Dunbrack tracks him down at the line of scrimmage. And the Argo defense rises up again. The 5-year man out of Western with a huge tackle on the elusive Nealon Green, and the Argos take over on downs.
I'm surprised at the call to move Derek Armstrong into the short side of the field. He's played the whole game to Nealon Green's right. Now the pressure probably wouldn't allow Green to get it out of there anyway from Joe Montfort. Dunbrook comes up with the tackle.
Wow, he broke 2 blocks to get over and make the tackle. What an effort by Roger Dunbrack. And reality beginning to sink in on the Saskatchewan bench. 2:34 to go. Argos have the ball. Drummond up the middle, and he stopped for a short gain.
Well, there's no question that 2 minutes and 28 seconds is plenty of time for Saskatchewan. They need to stop right here on this play. But that defense for the Argos came out after the halftime break, and I don't know what Mike Clements said, but they have not given up a point. And then on the offensive side of the ball, where they struggled in the first half, they have put some points on the board.
Well, it's just like last week all over again. The offense coming alive in the second half. This time, though, rekindled by that tremendous punt return touchdown by Livingston. Here comes the blitz. Slack gets the ball away. Mitchell can't hang on. Close coverage by Davin Bush. It's incomplete.
If Corey Holmes has a return in him,
I rush up quick now, they're going to just hit
like he's had all season long.
Leroy Blue has played in 21 playoff games.
If he has one in him, it's time. Noel Prefontaine has done a real nice job all game long of kicking the football away from Corey Holmes and pinning him to the sideline. He will try and do that again, I'm sure.
Holmes' longest return of the year, 75 yards. He has 1 touchdown on punt returns. The league leader. Saskatchewan needs one here. Prefontaine, again, line drive, angling Holmes to the sidelines. He stays in bounds, but goes nowhere again.
Yeah, once he's that close to the sideline, the coverage team can corral him knowing that the sideline is their outside tackler, basically.
A 48-yard punt, 6 7-yard return as two old teammates, Pinball Clemens and Paul Masadi, discuss the final minute 55 and their plans.
Again, Mark, I go to the matchup, and I think right now Mike Clemens is going to play that zone defense. He wants to make sure his defense doesn't give up the deep play. But Bashir Livingston will be in a man-to-man on Armstrong, whether it's zone or one-on-one coverage. And it's time Danny Barrett, he's got to go for it now.
1:55 to go in the fourth quarter. Green throwing to the wide side, and it's overthrown again. Cedric Shaw was the intended receiver.
And now Livingston is giving Armstrong about a 5 or 7 yard cushion. In other words, that's the cushion is the difference between you and the receiver. And it's a big cushion. But what Nealon Green is looking for is the jump ball if he goes to that matchup, which he hasn't. He's not going to beat him now by dumping the ball underneath.
Livingston has been a focal point this afternoon. Special teams and defense. 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Green with pressure now. He gets out of the pocket, throws it wide side. It's complete to Dylan Ching, and Ching is pushed out of bounds at the 36-yard line, and a Saskatchewan first down after a gain of 15. Ching with his first catch of the game coming in the last 2 minutes.
Because Saskatchewan's in the hurry out now, that Nealon Green loses a little bit of his help from the sideline.
Darryl Mitchell, another great game today. And pressure time for Saskatchewan, 1:41. They need to score twice. Green with time, falls as he gets rid of the ball. Armstrong makes the break on it, but can't get there in time as Nealon Green slipped delivering that pass.
Yeah, he certainly did. He went to step into it, and when he stepped into it, he just didn't get that plant foot down, that left foot, the first step. And that ball fluttered on him way inside. Armstrong couldn't corral it. But it was the matchup, Pete, they were going for. Derek Armstrong out on Livingston.
Reggie Slack, his work tremendous in the second half. Old veteran Warhorse came to the aid of his team today as well. 2nd and 10. Green going back to Derek Armstrong in front of Livingston. Jump ball, he's got it. Complete at the 40, a flag on the play, and it looked like Livingston may have made contact before the catch.
Well, there was pushing and shoving both ways, and I saw what you saw, Mark. Livingston was pushing a little bit. Armstrong also using his hands. It'll go against the Argos, but that's the matchup. Now they're doing. Now it's the jump ball.
35-yard gain. Green to Saskatchewan's #1 receiver, Derek Armstrong.
Now the way that they can help it if they're the Argos is to have Livingston come up in the zone defense and drop the halfback Clifford Ivory over the top. That allows Livingston to get his hands on Derek Armstrong, try and disrupt his momentum, and then have Clifford Ivory. The two are talking it over right now to try and shut down really the big threat for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and maybe their only hope to get back in it.
Forward passing. Toronto number 2-3.
Well, the penalty stopped the clock with 1:23 to go in this football game in regulation time. It is first down Saskatchewan just across the Toronto 40. 1:23 to play as Danny Barrett paces on the Saskatchewan sideline. Saskatchewan with Rocky Henry short side. 4 receivers to the right. Green goes to the end zone deep. Derek Armstrong, some pushing, and it's incomplete. Clifford Ivory came over to support Bashir Livingston.
That's exactly what they did. What they got the corner and Livingston to come up and play like a man technique on Armstrong, and then have Clifford Ivory drop back deep in the zone. That's what they were talking about before they broke the huddle. They said, listen, this is the guy they're going to try and come back with. Let's put a couple of players on him. Clifford Ivory over there almost had the interception.
So So double coverage on Armstrong there. The ball underthrown. And it's 2nd and long again for the Roughriders. Time is of the essence. 1:16 left. Slack looking on. Green with time. He'll run out of the pocket. It's incomplete. Rocky Henry, the intended receiver, but Adrian Smith was there.
No one gave the Toronto Argonauts much chance. And you looked across the board, there were not many of the so-called experts that thought that a guy who's been out of football for a couple of years could bring this team and get him into the Eastern Final.
Reggie Slack, after a turbulent 1999, had signed with Montreal, never reported problems on and off the field, and he's come back and rekindled his career. 3rd down, 10, Saskatchewan, last chance. Green, complete to Derek Armstrong, and a 1st down.
Keeps hope alive for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They're going to have to hurry, and no matter what, even if they do get in the end zone now, they've got to go for the onside kick because you're just over a minute to play in the game.
It's a 17-yard gain and a 1st down. But you're right, they've got to score soon and get the ball back. 1st down at the Argo 22. 4 receivers to the wide side. Nealon Green throwing to the end zone. Livingston, interception, Toronto. Bashir Livingston having a tremendous afternoon. Still going. Cups back behind some blocks. Now Rocky Henry sends him to the turf as he runs time off the clock. And that will seal it.
Unbelievable. It was a matchup that the Saskatchewan Roughriders tried to get early in the game. They went deep to Derek Armstrong. Livingston knocked it out of there. They tried it deep again to Armstrong. He had a touchdown. Livingston forgot all about it. They kept going after the rookie on the corner. They had the size mismatch. Derek Armstrong at 6'2". Livingston at 5'10". It was Livingston with the big return just before the half on the reverse. They went after him, and the rookie responded.
What an afternoon for the rookie. An interception. A punt return for a touchdown as Slack takes a knee. And how about that big strip on the first series of the game against Derek Armstrong in the end zone, and what looked like a touchdown catch. Tremendous afternoon for this young Saskatchewan team, though.
Well, and you mentioned it, Mark, the youth on this team, they felt it was an advantage because they didn't know any better. They didn't know what the pressure meant, but when they faced a little adversity, when that return just before the half got into the end zone, the wheels started to fall off. But they have learned, Saskatchewan, from this game. They'll be better for it next year. But how about those Argos?
How about the defense hanging in until the offense caught fire in the 2nd half? The first postseason win for the Argos since '97 when they won back-to-back Grey Cups.
And talk about wins for this franchise and how important this win is here. They felt that last week was the biggest win for the franchise. This is a city that I believe right now is starving for a winner. The Leafs aren't playing well. The Raptors aren't playing well. They've lost Vince Carter. This is a team that has a chance to take this crowd and maybe win some fans for the future. They've been exciting in the last 4 weeks of the season.
It's a team with momentum coming into the playoffs with 3 straight victories. Reggie Slack coming back after 2 hamstring injuries, a broken thumb on his passing hand, and using his poise and leadership and toughness to lead this team now to the Eastern Final.
And when you talk of poise, you can see Reggie Slack's demeanor has not changed from the opening kickoff until there. Mike Clemens has believed in him since the last 3 weeks, since they had to win. They've been playing playoff football realistically for the last 3 weeks.
Mike Clemens, the man who believed in his veteran quarterback, Shade Peoples, with a great effort today, playing hurt
And there will be people that second guess some decisions from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There'll be people that question giving up the safety, Paul McCallum, earlier in the game. But the bottom line is this is a team that really controlled the first half. This is a team that will benefit greatly by the experience they've gained from this playoff game. Remember, there were only 4 starters on the defensive side of the ball in Saskatchewan that had ever played in a playoff game.
Right.
About the same on the offensive side. They didn't have the experience of Reggie Slack.
Well, just remember, 1997, he led that tremendous playoff run, leading Saskatchewan back then. 33-30 over Calgary in the semifinal, 31-30 over Edmonton in the final, only to lose to Toronto in the Grey Cup as Daryl Mitchell takes the snap, trying to run time off the clock. He'll step out of bounds as the clock ticks to 0. The Toronto Argonauts are going to the Eastern Final. Reggie Slack with new life in his career. Daryl Mitchell continues to be their big threat in pinball. Clemens, a hug with one of his best friends, Danny Barrett. His inspiration and spirit has motivated this team.
The experts say the Argos couldn't do it. But when you make it personal in professional sports, you get the best out of athletes, and the Argos, for them right now, it's personal.
Pinball Clemens calling on faith, and his team is still alive as we send you west to the final, the Western Semi, and here's Brian.